Woods. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Parks, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. He went off to the military. Your claim is that while he was away, you paid some bills for him. That when he came back from the military, he ended the engagement. You want to be reimbursed for the bills you paid for him, as well as your wedding expenses and a ring that you gave to him.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you become engaged?
July 98.
And when did you go into the military, sir?
September 16th of 98.
Had you been living together?
Yes.
You returned from the military when, sir?
About December.
Of 98?
Yes.
And it's the bills from September to December that you claim you paid for him?
There were others prior to, or after December that I had paid. He went in for course school after basic training.
Is that correct?
December.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when did you finally terminate the engagement?
May or June of 99.
Now tell me about these bills that you paid for him.
Okay, he moved in with me right before we got engaged. He had his bills forwarded to my parents' address, which we were living, right before he went into the military service. When he went in, the first bill came, and it was kind of hard to contact him. There was no connection.
What bill was that?
The first one was some BMG music bills. They were small, but the big first one was his associate's credit card bill.
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T, which was $496.78.
So what did you do? You couldn't reach him?
No, I couldn't reach him. I decided to pay it off, and as soon as I could get an email or an address from him, I would write him telling him the bills that I paid off and that I would expect him to pay me back. And I have here a list of the bills that I had paid and the letter and his letter returning to me saying that he would pay me back.
How did you get a copy of this letter?
Before he returned to course school, he gathered up all his letters that I gave to him when he was in basic training and had me hold on to them for him.
Okay. So this is what we have, Mr. Woods. You are absolutely correct in your answer when you say that she chose to pay your bills, and she did that voluntarily. She acknowledges that she did that initially, but then you agreed to pay her back.
I was thinking at the time, I mean, I was still very grateful that she did pay him. But I was thinking I was going to come back home, we were going to get married, because we'd also talked about before that, you know, we were going to have the same, our bills were going to be our bills. The money that we made together was going to pay off these bills. I didn't never expect to come home and what happened, happened.
I'm sorry about all my bills that you're getting. You didn't have to pay off the whole thing, just the minimum payment. She didn't have to make the minimum payment, but clearly that's what you had expected. Don't worry, I will give you the money. I will help you with money when I get into a school, because you had some other bills that you were going to pay.
Right.
That they took out. So clearly, you tell her back in October of 1998, okay, that you were going to reimburse her for this money. Relying on what you say here, she continues to pay your bills because you promised to pay her back. Right?
Right.
Now, so that's point number one. Point number two, sir, is that you say that you didn't anticipate that this was going to happen. You anticipated getting married and that your money would be joint money. It would be there as joint money to pay off bills. You wouldn't even think about it. So what do we have now? No engagement, no marriage, your bills are paid with her money. Is that fair?
That's not fair.
So why didn't you start paying her back some money?
I wanted to, but I mean, we were still together at the time. Before we had broken up, I mean, we got in, her parents, or her mom, had gone through all my stuff, and just without me being there, gone through all my papers, all my paperwork, and found letters and just told me to move everything out of the house the next day.
Found letters to whom?
It was a letter from another female to me that I had met in boot camp, a close friend of mine. And we had gone really close. And what we had in Chicago, we had left in Chicago. I had every intent of coming back home and marrying Terry. And I still had feelings for her, but what I had done in Chicago, I left in Chicago. But her mom had gone through all my stuff, found letters, I mean, even little notebooks, and circled stuff in little notebooks and read and wrote names and words on it. And the next day, they asked me to get all the stuff out of the house. I mean,
So what you're telling me is you had not been faithful while you were in Chicago.
right.
Her mother noodled around and found that out. So you're blaming her mother. Duh. That's what mothers are supposed to do. You think she wants her daughter to marry somebody who travels a couple of 100 miles away, messes around, and then just wants to forget it? I'm going to forget that. I'm going to come home and be a good boy. Good for you. And smart for you.
Thank you.
I once told one of my children during their engagement, I want you to know something about this time in your life. This is as good as it gets. There's more affection, more interest, more doting than any other time. You have fewer problems during this engagement period. You know, you don't have joint bills and kids and in-laws and everything else that tend to impact on that romance that you have. So if you got a problem now, it's only going to get worse.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I learned that.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago.
I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
And later today,
Why did you steal his car?
To get to a different city.
And you didn't have a car?
I got a license.
You have a license, you didn't have a car, so you took his.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Park says ex-fiancé John Woods owes her for paying his bills while he was in the military and for an engagement ring.
Let's get to the wedding bills, because there is no real clear-cut legal decision with regard to the wedding bills. Your wedding dresses, your bridesmaid dresses, and that sort of thing. You think that you have any responsibility whatsoever, at least partial responsibility, for the expenses that she incurred towards the wedding?
No, ma'am.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
Because before we had even broken up completely, I had asked for the ring back. She didn't have to give it back, but she did. And from there, we were still dating afterwards, and we had already planned to push the wedding about a year later.
But she had already taken care of these dresses, David's bridal, final payment in October.
Right.
That's before. You're still in Chicago, being unfaithful, while she's paying for the wedding dress. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when did you find these letters, these Chicago letters that he wrote to somebody else? In what month?
In June
In June.
of '99.
Oh, well, David's bridal was in March of '99. So you're still going full speed ahead with the wedding plans.
Right.
So now I'm going to ask you again. There were certain wedding expenses that she had. Why don't you think you're responsible for at least half of those wedding expenses that she incurred during the time that she really thought that you were going to get married, and only you knew that you had been messing around?
Because, I mean, for the bridesmaids' dresses, I always thought that the bridesmaids bought their own dresses. And I
Did they?
They're supposed to.
All but 3.
What do you mean all but 3?
One had to be shipped out to Texas, and the 3 girls that could not make it to the shop with me, I paid for at that time.
Which they should have paid you in return.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago.
Yes. I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
Okay. Just some words of advice, Mr. Woods. You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I learned that.
Keeping them makes a statement. Okay. He is not responsible for the ring. He is responsible for only half the cost. I believe that that's fair. Half the cost of what you laid out for a wedding that subsequently didn't come off, even if it wasn't his fault. In this case, it was. So I'm deducting that from your total amount of bills that you are submitting, none of which he disputes. He just says he didn't ask you to pay him. He may not have asked you to pay him, but he told you that he would repay you, and based on that, you continued to pay the bills for months after that. So I am not awarding you the full amount of your request, which was some $2,400, but I am awarding you $1,908.20. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Before things happened, our parents were always in our relationship. I mean, personal things, I mean, our sexual relationship. The whole family always knew about it because of her mother.
I wasn't that meddling, but I smelled a rat, so I went looking for evidence. And I did, I found it.
I hurt her bad. I didn't want her to get all the money, but I feel I was responsible for the bills that she paid, so hopefully she's happy with the money she got.
Always listen to your mother.
And now the next case.
All parties on Kramer versus Cornejo. Step forward, please.
16-year-old William Kramer Jr. and his father, William Sr., are suing 15-year-old student Giovanni Cornejo and his mother, San Juana Cornejo. William Jr. says Giovanni stole his CD collection when he stole his car.
Who are you?
I'm his parent, his
Why
father.
don't you have a seat, please? You're his mother?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, please? Mr. Kramer, you went to work, according to your complaint, at 5 p.m. on December 21st,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you parked your car in the parking lot,
Yes.
and the defendant stole your car.
Yes.
You admit that you stole his car.
Yes.
What time did you steal his car?
It was between the hours of 9 to 11, somewhere around there.
Why did you steal his car?
To get to a different city.
Well, where were you going?
Grand Rapids. It was a different city.
And you didn't have a car?
I got a license.
You don't have a license, you didn't have a car, so you took his. Okay. There came a time when you were stopped by the police?
Excuse me?
There came a time when you were stopped by the police?
Yes.
And what time was that?
I don't know. I don't know the times. I didn't know what time was it.
Has your case been disposed of in the criminal court?
No.
What do you mean, no?
What do you mean by
Did you
it?
plead guilty?
Yes, I plead guilty.
Then it's been disposed of.
Yes.
Were you placed on probation?
Yes.
For how long?
About 3 months, 4 months.
Was this your first arrest?
Yes.
And according to your complaint, Mr. Kramer, when you got your car back, there was some CDs missing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Cornejo says that he stole your car, but not your CDs.
Yes.
When were you notified that they had found your car?
It was about 11 p.m.
And where were you called, at home or at work?
I was at work. The police came and got me, and they escorted me to where the car was.
How far away from your place of employment was it?
It was about 20 minutes away. I don't know exactly the mileage.
And when you got there, did you find Mr. Cornejo there?
Yes.
And your car?
Yes.
Okay. And your car was stopped because of a tail light or something?
Broken headlight.
And you looked at the car at that time, you didn't see anything else missing?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is sort of an apology, but I hope you've learned your lesson that you should watch out how you handle your keys the next time.
Your Honor, his keys were right there in the ignition.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old William Kramer Jr. says 15-year-old Giovanni Cornejo stole his car and his CD collection.
Mr. Cornejo, from the time you stole this car, I want you to tell me where you went.
Stole the car, and then I went to this gas station, I think in Byron Center.
Yes?
We went to the gas station, and I was on my way to
You went to the gas station for what?
put in some gas. He was almost on empty.
Okay.
So
Is
I
that
put,
true?
Yes.
Fine. So you went to the gas station,
Yes.
filled up the car,
I didn't fill it up. I put $8 in. And
and then where did you go?
from there, I was going through Grand Rapids, and we decided to go to this new mall that they just built.
A new mall. Who's we?
Me and my partner, he was there with me.
Your partner, your business partner?
No, not a business partner, a friend.
So you and your friend decided to go to a mall. Did you in fact go to the mall?
No, we got pulled over before.
So you only made one stop,
Yes.
and the one stop was to put gas in the car.
Yes.
Now when you got stopped, was your friend in the car with you?
Yes.
Was your friend arrested also?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, see any of Mr. Kramer's CDs?
I did see one CD. My friend said it was corn. I wasn't sure, so I went with corn. But we threw it back into the back seat, which I didn't find anything else. And we didn't see anything else. He says he ain't seen nothing.
Now, did you have a CD named Corn?
Yes, I did.
Did you find that in the back of the car?
Yes, that was there. It was just empty, loose in the back of the car, in the back seat.
Well, that's what he says. He said he
Yes.
took it and he threw it in the back seat. I assume that you, once you got the car home, you went through an inventory. Is that right?
No, it was pretty late. I got it home around 3, and I went to bed. But the next morning I did.
Is that when you found the CDs missing?
Yes.
Other than the fact that Mr. Corneo stole your car, do you have any other evidence that he did in fact steal your CDs?
I have an apology here from him.
Can I see it?
Yeah. And there he states he doesn't listen to my...
Let me read it. Just a minute. This is sort of an apology, sort of. You say to Mr. Kramer in your letter of apology, which I assume you were ordered by the court to write?
Yes.
Of course. I love this judge. I have one thing to say to you, is that I hope you've learned your lesson, that you should watch out how you handle your keys the next time.
Your Honor, I didn't mean it as in, like, he was a dummy, he's doing it. I just meant it just because...
Where were his keys?
His keys were right there in the ignition.
That's not too clever. Was his car open?
Yes, it was open.
It was unlocked, but not... Doors weren't open.
But
No,
it was
the doors were-
unlocked.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Kramer, you parked your car in the parking lot and you left the car unlocked. And you were gone from your car for at least several hours before Mr. Corneo stole your car.
Yes.
Anybody could have gone in the car and taken your CDs, sir.
Yes.
Right?
But in there he says he doesn't listen to my kind of music, so he would have to have seen the CDs in there
Well,
to
he
check
saw,
what kind of
he
music.
saw one. He said he took out a corn... I never heard of that. Do you ever hear of corn?
Yeah.
I must be living on another planet, at least in another millennium.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You, Mr. Kramer, have to learn to be more careful with your property, because
Yes.
it is possible that somebody didn't steal your car, but opened a car door and took your CDs. Now, where were they?
Under the passenger seat,
In a box?
in a case holder.
What do you mean here? I know that my boy didn't take them either.
My friend. I know. He told me that he ain't take them. I ain't see him take them at
No,
all.
I don't think you took them. I don't think you took them. I think somebody may have taken them, sir. All right, in any event, Mr. Kramer, there is insufficient evidence for me to find that he, in fact, did steal this property, so I must dismiss your complaint. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 9 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Yancey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
I have 2 cases in this mishmash that I'm going to try to sort out. According to you, Mr. Howard, you and the defendant dated for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have certain complaints against her that date back to December
Yes, ma'am.
of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So let's deal with them. First, you claim that your now ex-girlfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
sometime in early December, was angry with you about something and she keyed your car.
Certainly.
Certainly. Then, after she keyed your car, a couple of days later, you had a fight and she vandalized your house.
Right.
And then you complain that in April you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
So first she vandalized your car, then she vandalized your house, and then you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I mean, I'm trying to just follow the scenario here.
Okay.
And you claim that this ring that you purchased for her was not an engagement ring, and there was an agreement with her that she would pay for half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you want, half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding her keying your car.
It was about 7:45 in the evening. She called me and said, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? So I go out to pick her up. She got in the car, and I said we were probably traveling for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And out of the middle of nowhere, we're sitting at the red light, and she smacks me. And I'm like, what was that about? And she was like, because I think it was one of her friends indicated to her that they saw somebody in the car with me earlier that day.
Of the female persuasion.
Yes, ma'am. So I said, Chris, what are you talking about? I've been at work all day. What are you talking about? So I proceeded, because I had to go back to my office to pick up one of my employees. So I went back to my office. I got out of my truck. I went into the building. When I came back, one of my employees said, "She just keyed your truck."
Well, I
And
can't hear
said,
that, sir.
Huh?
Unless you have the employee here, I can't hear what somebody else said.
Okay. And I asked her, I said, "Did you just key my truck?" She said, "Yeah."
So you asked her.
Yeah, I asked her. And she said, "Yeah, I keyed your truck."
Why'd you do that?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Did you say you had?
No.
Did you key it a little bit? Now listen, that's not saying he didn't forgive you,
Okay.
because he might have forgiven you later, because he did buy the rig, right?
Right.
But you have to tell me the truth, because then if you tell a lie to me once, then I don't believe anything else that you say. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
Did you key his truck a little bit?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Did you have any discussion with him about keying your truck?
No, not that I did it, but we discussed it.
When?
I don't remember the dates or whatnot, but I was driving his truck one day, and I noticed that it was dented and scratched up. And I said, "You know, your truck is keyed up." And he said that he had no knowledge of it.
Okay. So after she said, according to you, that yes, she keyed your truck, what did you do?
I was angry about my truck, and I asked her, I said, "You know, why do you always tear up my car when you're mad at me? My car doesn't do anything to you." You know what I'm saying?
And did you see her the next day?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I indicated to her, I said, "Well, my insurance company says if I know who vandalized the truck, then I have to file charges against them." You know? And she was like, "Well, I can't believe you're going to file charges against me." I'm not going to file charges against you.
So you signed a statement to the insurance company that you didn't know.
I never signed a statement. I didn't even file the claim, Your Honor.
You have pictures of the scratch marks?
As a matter of fact, I don't, because when we went to get them developed yesterday, they exposed them.
So you have no pictures?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You have an estimate?
No, I didn't, because
Fine, then let's move on from the
Okay.
truck. Let's move on to the house.
Okay.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had some friends that came over. In particular, one of my friends that came over there, she suspected that I was messing around with. And that wasn't necessarily the truth.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no, ma'am. Chris had really aggravated me that particular day. So I kind of wanted her to leave. But Chris is one of those people who just would not leave. All right? So I asked another young lady if she would take Chris out the house and go for a ride or whatever. And she said, yeah. So the young lady and Chris left and went for a ride. So I went upstairs to take a shower. Chris came back. She was ringing the doorbell. My instructions to the people who were at my house that particular night was, if Chris comes back, do not let her in. So when they refused to let her in, Chris broke the window.
Did you break the window?
I didn't mean to break the window, Your Honor.
So the answer is you broke the window?
Yes, I did break the window.
And how did you break the window?
Knocking on it. It was a thin window. I was knocking on the window. At first, I was ringing the doorbell. As I was knocking on the window, my hand went straight through the window. No cuts or bruises.
Okay. And then what happened?
Chris was pulling off in her car as I was coming downstairs. So we started to clean up all the glass. About 15 minutes later, Chris came back, and she stabbed my back tire out my car.
Did you see her do that?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I couldn't get out the house in time enough before she was able to get back to her car. And I did get back to her car, but she had rolled her window up and took off.
Were you really mad?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Didn't slash his tire?
No.
If I might say something, Ashante was a witness to the fact that she did stab my tire.
Step up. Over there. You were there that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, where were you when you saw her slash the tire?
On the couch.
You were sitting on the couch?
Yes, because I heard somebody pull it back up. So I looked out the window because the window was already broken, so we was trying to fix it. She was getting out of her car, running up to the car, stabbing the tire, jumped back in her car and burrowed out. So, yes, Your Honor, she slashed the tire. I was there. I seen that.
Okay, so she slashed your tire.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have it fixed?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It was approximately $148.47.
So you bought a new tire?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so you forgave her for breaking your window, you forgave her for slashing your tire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Your Honor, I felt as if it was necessary to forgive her because, in many senses, it was inappropriate for me to have a guest at my house who
Right.
should not have been there.
They're not necessarily guessed.
Right. It was rather inappropriate for me to have her there.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Where's the ring?
I lost the ring.
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Howard claims ex-girlfriend Christina Yancey keyed his truck and vandalized his home. Corey also says Christina owes him for the value of a ring.
So let me hear about it.
As far as he's saying about he had a female guest there was no one there but my best friend, Shantae, and Mr. Howard.
So what were you angry about? You did go for a ride with this young lady.
I didn't go for a ride anywhere. I stayed there, and then I left. I went to the store. I came back.
And when you came back, they wouldn't let you in.
They wouldn't let me in.
Why do you think they wouldn't let you in?
I have the slightest idea.
You have to have some idea, madam. Otherwise, they're acting in a psychotic fashion.
Well, there was another car. It was a car there. When I left, the car wasn't there. But when I came back, the car was there. It was another car there.
Another car there that you suspected was a woman's car?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, something must have been going through your mind, madam. You're banging at the door with sufficient force to break a window. They won't let you in the house. You must have been pretty annoyed. He was your boyfriend, right?
You're right.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with her about the tire?
As a matter of fact, I did. And
I assumed that you did. Yeah. Let me about the discussion about the tire.
Yes. And she said the reason why I cut your tire was because you wouldn't answer the door.
Sounds right.
You know, and
Sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. I have the tire here on your side, sir.
Yes.
Let's get to the ring.
Okay. The very day that she purchased the bracelet that she's wearing right now, she said to me...
You were shopping together?
Yeah, we were shopping together.
Okay, so you went into a jewelry store.
We went into a jewelry store.
That's always dangerous.
Which was owned by one of my friends, okay?
Yes.
And she says, I want to buy... I had given her like $300 that particular day. And she said she...
You gave her $300 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, while we were shopping, because we split up in the mall, so I gave her $300.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was nice of you.
I was very nice to her, Your Honor. And what happened was, she came in the jewelry store, and she saw that very bracelet that she's wearing right now, and I says, I can't afford it, I'm buying me a ring. You know, I said, I gave you some money, so you buy it. So she went in her pocket and bought that bracelet. At the time, she says, oh, I want that ring right there. I can't afford that ring. I said, but if you split the cost with me, I will buy the ring. And she agreed to split the cost for the ring.
How much was the ring?
I think the ring was like a wholesale. I got the ring at a wholesale value, so I think it ended up being like $4 something. You know, but the retail value on it was like $1,000.
Okay, what the retail value is. How much did you pay for the ring?
I didn't pay anything, Your Honor. When we met up, he took me to the jewelry store. He had a diamond ring in his hand. He said, do you like this ring? I said, oh, yes, it's beautiful. He was like, do you want it? I was like, yes. He put it on my finger. He paid for the ring.
Well, he says he paid for the ring, but he says that that was sort of extra. He'd given you $300 and you saw something that you liked for over and above. You said you'd split the cost with him.
This is what I saw that I liked it, the tennis bracelet, which was $99.
Right.
I paid for it out the money he bought me.
So you're wearing that, right?
You're
wearing the tennis bracelet. Where's the ring?
I lost the ring. And I told him that.
That's not what she told me, Your Honor. She indicated that she had placed the ring in a jewelry box in her room, and she said that her mother's boyfriend had went into the room and stole the ring when she was not at home. And I said, how did your mom's boyfriend steal the ring when you're not at home?
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I did buy her a new one.
What?
I thought you were psychic.
It says that here.
So I went back to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, you know that ring I bought? I said, do you have another one just like it? Well, of course, this ring was a very nice ring.
All right, so you got her another one.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the other one that he got you?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. She didn't offer to pay for half of that one.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so far what I have on your side, sir, it's $148.47. Because if you were really interested in getting half the money back for this original ring that you bought, you wouldn't have bought her another one, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, it's necessarily true. So on your side is $148.47 because she slashed your tire. Madam. Okay. Now that takes care of that case. Now, I want you to stand over there.
Okay.
You to sit down over there. And I would like Miss Catherine Yancey right over there. Party's been sworn?
They've already been sworn, Judge.
Good, thank you. Now, you're her mother.
Yes.
It is your complaint that Mr. Howard vandalized your house and later set it on fire. And that, according to you, happened on the 6th of June
Yes.
of 2000. So let me hear about it.
I came home from a meeting approximately 9:30 in the evening. My daughter told me that Corey Howard came to my house looking for her, said that he broke my front window. He went to the car and got a tire iron or hammer or something and broke the front window. So I was going to the police station to make a report, and he pulls up on the side street. So I pulled next to him to ask him, why does he keep coming to my house? Why does he keep coming around? He said that he wanted everything that he ever bought for that B. Specifically, he wanted this ring. So I asked her where the ring was. She told me she lost the ring. He said that she told him that my boyfriend stole the ring. And I told him that that was ridiculous. I didn't want to hear anymore because there's no way that my boyfriend would steal a ring.
She's a fibber, you know, your daughter. She's a fibber.
Okay, well,
Go
I
ahead.
know my boyfriend would not
No,
steal
I
a ring.
understand that.
So I took off to go to the police station. He followed me on my bumper, you know, trying to intimidate me. We continued to the police station to make the report. When I came home from the police station, my deck had been set on fire. Neighbor across the street said he
Don't
saw
tell
it.
me what your neighbor across the street said unless that person is here to testify. Step up next to your mother, please. Let me just hear about the broken window.
Well, me and Corey, he called and he was like, you know, do you want to hook up? And I was like, no. He's like, why? Asking me why, and my phone hung up on him. I was on the porch with my neighbor at the time. He pulled up. I ran in the house because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She says, you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Yancey claims her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Corey Howard, broke into her home and set fire to her deck.
And then what happened?
He's ringing the doorbell. B, come out of here. You better bring your butt out of here. Cussing, just making a lot of ruckus. I'm looking out the window from my room, and I see Corey pop his trunk and get like a tire thing out. He proceeded to walk towards the house with this thing in his hand. At that point, I ran out the back door, over the fence and next door to my neighbor's house. When I was outside, I heard a slash noise. Finally, when he did pull off, I went back to my house next door. My mother's stained glass window was broken.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not break the window. As a matter of fact, on the particular day that she claims that I broke the window, I was in a staff meeting with all 4 of my sales managers on that particular day.
So
Now,
you're telling me that not only didn't you break her window, but you didn't see her mother that day either. So her mother's lying too. You didn't even see her mother
I did see her mom that day.
driving away from her house?
No, I was not driving away from her house when I saw her mother.
Where were
Okay,
you?
as a matter of fact, maybe I should just tell how all of this originated. I was out on vacation, all right? Christina called me the whole time I was in New Orleans, okay? Christina says, I'm pregnant. I want you to give me $300 to have an abortion. I said, Christina, I'm not giving you anything, okay? First of all, because I'm not the only person you're sleeping with, okay? On this particular day, Christina called me, and she says, I just called you to tell you that you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion. I said, hey, ain't no problem, wasn't no sweat off my back. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I was angry and infuriated, okay, I was just really upset, you know. I passed by her house. I was on the phone with Christina. We got into an argument. I did not break the window. I did not set their house on fire or whatever.
You get a
it is.
house on fire. There are no witnesses to you setting a house on fire. She says she saw you break the window.
I did not break a window.
Did you bang on her door?
As a matter of fact, I did not, Your Honor, because I never went to her house. I'm not
As a
going to lie.
matter of fact. Okay. How much did it cost you to fix the window?
I haven't had the window fixed yet.
So you have no estimate?
Yeah, I have estimates of the fire damage.
I'm not interested in the fire damage. You have no witnesses with regard to the fire damage.
Okay, what I do have is police reports where my witnesses did give a report to the police.
That's insufficient in court. What's sufficient is that you have a witness.
And
Your
I also
presence-
have phone numbers that they said you may be able to call. Both of the witnesses are there.
No. That's a far too serious issue to make a determination by picking up a phone.
Will you not take the police report with arson report?
Oh, absolutely not. Did they arrest him?
No, they won't arrest him.
Of course they won't arrest him. If you had a witness that the police found believable that witnessed him committing arson, they would have arrested him. Arson is a very, very serious felony. Do you understand? You have an estimate for the window.
It has the fire and the window. Repair front stained glass window,
Yeah,
yes.
that I'll say.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The stained glass window was $75. Listen, I don't think that either one of you two young people would know the truth if it came up and bit you in the behind. I think that when you come to court and you testify in a court, the judge is supposed to be able to make a determination based on truthfulness. That's a hard thing when it comes to you two. However, I do find, madam, that you slashed his tire, and therefore he is getting the $148 that he spent to fix the tire that you slashed. And I do find, sir, that you broke a window. I can't make a determination that you committed arson, although that would be a really serious crime. But I do find that you did, in fact, break a window, and according to the estimate from our insurance, it's going to cost $75. So in your case, I'm awarding you $75, and on your case, sir, $148.47. Thank you. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Poncelet del Sol versus Howell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
So, Ms. Del Sol?
Yes.
You were hired by the defendant, according to your complaint, to be makeup artist in a photo shoot that he was organizing on the island of Antigua?
Almost. It was a feature film, actually.
And you traveled to Antigua?
Correct.
And it is your claim that he owes you money. He says that he paid you some money, actually, but you left the project and you were a nut while you were there, and you caused him to spend thousands of dollars in downed production time and your replacement, and he has a counterclaim. How much was he supposed to pay you?
$2,000 for my services.
So far, is that correct, Mr. Howell?
Yes, it is.
And what kind of film were you making?
It's an action flick.
How much money did you have to make this film?
About 150,000 US.
Have you ever made a film before?
Yes.
How many films?
2 prior to this.
Where? In what country?
I made one in Antigua, and I made one in New York.
Was the one that you made in New York a full-length feature?
Yes, it was.
Did it sell anything?
It's still in production, post-production.
Was the film that was made in Antigua completed?
It was completed.
Okay. How much were you paid by him of the $2,000 that was agreed upon?
$600.
When did you arrive?
I arrived January 16th.
When did you leave?
February 1st.
When were you supposed to leave?
February 10th.
So you didn't complete the job?
No.
Tell me why.
Because he basically sexually harassed me. The cast was sexually harassing me. They failed to provide me with food and water as agreed upon 3 times a day. Various violent things happened.
What did you eat?
I was lucky to eat 1 time a day, and usually it was a couple pieces of lettuce and an egg. Sometimes I got something called goat water, which is what they do when they take a goat and they kill it and they put it in some rainwater on the front lawn and they boil it, and it's not quite soup.
Where did it say in your contract that he was supposed to provide you with meals?
I actually never received a written contract. That was another reason why we are having this trouble. We have a verbal contract. The contract included that he would pay me for my services rendered, for my makeup kit expenses, for my lodging, food, and transportation, and he was also supposed to supply me with a cell phone, which he never did.
And in exchange for all of that, you were supposed to work from January 16th to February 10th?
Correct.
But you didn't work to February 10th?
I was unable to.
Why?
Through the circumstances that they were putting me through.
How many other people left?
I actually heard a few rumors that a few other people...
I'm not interested in rumors.
Okay.
How many people that you know that you're going to be able to name for me left the production?
I do know for a fact that the wardrobe lady left.
Did the wardrobe lady leave?
No.
Did she finish the production?
She did finish the production.
Did she leave before or after you did?
Before.
So you actually knew she left?
Right. I didn't see her.
Well, why didn't you tell me that first?
It's slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
What happened, Mr. Howell? Why did she leave?
Well, Melissa had to leave for a number of reasons. The main reason was because Melissa was incapable of doing her work. She was smoking and drinking. Her action became so bizarre, it was hilarious at times, dangerous at times. And I had to replace her on more than one occasion with makeup artists because she just could not function.
When you say she was drinking, you mean she was intoxicated?
Well, she was drinking, and her behavior would lead me to believe she was intoxicated. But
Give me an example.
On Saturday the 24th of January. I got on set and I was like, yo, you need to go talk to Melissa. I'm like, what's going on? And they said, I don't know what's up. So I went over to her and she was like, why? Why? And
I got it. I got
yes,
it.
Your Honor. And it was behavior like that. I was like, Melissa, what's going on? And then she was like, oh, Doc. Then she started complaining about a lot of things that was happening. And then
What was she complaining about, Mr.
Okay, one of the things she was complaining about is that there was a person who was on the set. He wasn't part of the production team. And Melissa and him had become acquaintance. And she was stating that he was actually trying to have sex with her.
Who was this person, if he wasn't part of the production team?
What happened was we needed some guns, and he had bought, he flew in from New York to bring down some guns for us. His name was Robert.
He flew down to bring guns?
Yes.
What kind of guns?
Prop guns.
Prop guns?
Yes.
So he actually flew down at your request to add things to your production?
To the production, right.
All right, so he was there at your request, and she was complaining that he was making sexual advances towards her?
Yeah, that was a Saturday night, yes.
That was on the 24th?
24th, Saturday the 24th.
So what did you do? What did you say to her?
I told Melissa that I would address the issue after we finish the set. But let's go, let's get you calm down, and I will talk to him after I got taken care of her and her anxiety.
So what did you do?
So I told her I'm going to do 3 things to make sure that she feels more comfortable on set. Issue number 1. 1, there'll be no male around her, talking to her, unless they were sitting in her makeup chair, because she was complaining that there were other people frequenting her set. Number 2, I told her there'll be no more smoking on set.
You mean smoking cigarettes or
smoking weed?
Smoking weed? Oh.
And Yana, if I must add, she was smoking the good weed. It was a strong Antigua weed.
And she was?
Yes.
Was smoking
the good Antigua ganja.
She was smoking marijuana.
Marijuana.
Is that right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, sure
it's
it
a
is.
complete lie.
Just a second. He's absolutely telling me the truth.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
No,
Go ahead.
he's not.
The third thing was I was going to try and adjust the source of her weed.
The source?
Yes.
So you were saying that if Robert's sexually harassing you, I want you to stop smoking weed, and I'm going to get rid of your supplier.
Yes.
Sounds like an interesting production, Mr. Howell.
No, Your Honor, there was more than just the sexual harassment. There was a lot going on, and I was trying to address the issues. The sexual harassment was just one part of the issue.
Okay. Did you ever complain to him about sexual harassment by anybody other than Robert?
Yes, I did.
Who?
There were a few people who were grips.
And what were they doing?
They set up light stands. They handled the lighting.
No, I don't mean what were they doing as grips.
Oh,
I mean, what were they doing to you?
Well, I would go by them, and they would touch me, and they would tell me about how later that night they would like to do various things to me.
And what did you say to them?
I said that that was very inappropriate, and I would like them to not talk to me in that way anymore.
Your Honor, that's untrue.
The only one she complained to you about was Robert?
Was Robert.
I believe him. I believe him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melissa Poncelet del Sol says director Dr. Noel Howell owes for her services as a makeup artist on his film. Dr. Howell is countersuing for money owed.
Now, I just want to know why you left on February 1st.
Because he no longer was giving me the means to do my job. He kept confiscating my makeup kit every night, so I wasn't able to clean and organize my brushes and my makeup kit. So I would arrive to set with dirty brushes. I finally said to him, this is unacceptable. As we've spoken about this many times, I need to be able to have my makeup kit in my possession at night so that I can organize it, clean my brushes, and arrive on set and do my job.
Was there ever a time...
Sorry?
Was there ever a time that you did not show up on the set on time, ready to proceed?
No.
Yes, Your Honor, there were times. First of all, I've never, ever touched her makeup kit. Never confiscated anything to do with her makeup kit. And why would I want a dirty makeup on my set? I would never do such a thing, Your Honor.
I don't understand why he took your makeup kit.
I frankly don't understand either. However, I do know that when I was finally returned to me, $4,000 worth of makeup was removed from it, and I'm not sure if it's because he wanted to keep it to give to his new makeup artists to use on his film.
Who bought the makeup?
That was my makeup.
You purchased the makeup, and he stole your makeup?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have receipts here that I gave her my credit card over the phone. She used a credit card. She bought makeup with a credit card. Then she called me and she told me I owed her $700-something for the makeup. I went and I gave her cash. However, later I found out that that $700 include $500-something that was actually purchased on my credit card. So not only did I give her the $780 cash for everything. She also used a credit card, so she only spent maybe $200 some of her own money. So Melissa is a con artist. She's very good at this thing, and I guess from the onset, that's what she was doing.
I actually have the receipt for that $765.30, and it was actually my father's Visa card, not his.
And Your Honor, I have the receipt that she submitted to me, and this is what she gave me. This is the receipt she gave me.
Just a minute.
And on this is what she told me she spent. And if my memory serves me correctly, it said MasterCard. And she gave me this.
This receipt that you gave me is for $532.60.
Right.
What she has here is $765 purchased on the 13th of January.
Yeah, Your Honor, I have the rest of the receipt. This is what she gave me. She gave me everything here together, $776. And that what she gave me was supposed to be, this was supposed to be cash. And that part of it was supposed to be the credit card.
Did you take back any makeup from her?
I did not.
Did you take any makeup from her kit?
I did not.
Did anybody as part of your production team?
Someone might have, but not to my knowledge. The only thing that I know, there was a bottle of blood that was left in the office that we end up using.
What I'm asking you is, did you or anyone at your direction take makeup from her kit?
No.
Okay.
I have a list of the missing makeup inventory.
Just a second. Did you see him take any makeup from your kit?
I did see him remove several items of my makeup from my hotel room when he burst in through the door and threatened to hit me in the face.
Yeah, no,
just a second. Ms. Telso, what items do you tell me now that you saw him take out of your makeup kit?
4 gallons of blood.
Other than that?
I didn't see it with my own eyes.
Your Honor, 4 gallons of blood cannot hold in the makeup kit.
Hey, just a second.
I'm sorry.
You didn't see him take anything else?
No, all I know is that when I walked off set, because I had dehydration and sunstroke, because no one would let me sit in their car at the shelter or give me any water on set.
There we go again.
Sure. Be quiet.
My makeup kit was left on set, and it was unlocked.
I have no idea who took it. Okay, let me hear your counterclaim, sir. 30 seconds or less.
Your Honor, because of her behavior, her inability to perform the job that she was expected to do, I had to bring in an assistant, I had to bring in another makeup artist. I also ended up paying a hospital bill because of her behavior. She was seen by a doctor there.
What were you seen by a doctor for?
He actually forced me to see a doctor while I was there.
Just
and
a
it was
second.
to die.
What?
Well, at the time I had no idea. After when I was seen by the doctor, I was told that I was not homicidal or suicidal, which was rather shocking.
So you went to see a doctor in Antigua?
Yes, but it wasn't that I went to go see them. We were actually shooting a scene in a clinic that day. So he escorted me into the clinic, and I thought I was going in there to set up my makeup kit. And then suddenly I was alone in a room with the doctor.
Don't go on any more photo shoots to Antigua.
I won't.
Very good. Mr. Howell, when you have a large production staff, sir, I assume you've had difficulties before, of various kinds, not necessarily with makeup artists, but with people who aren't performing their job. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And you had to replace them?
Yes.
Have you ever sued anybody for that, sir?
Not as yet.
You will be unsuccessful if you sue them. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the courts are busy enough. You got to choose your people better. Get better recommendations. Do whatever you have to do as the CEO of this organization to make sure that you hire people who can do the job. But you don't go around suing them afterwards if your production is slowed down.
Not afterward.
Listen to me. We're too busy to clean up after CEOs who don't do their homework and hire appropriate people. And if there's something wrong with her because she has a mental disability, which I assume that you thought she had if you took her to a doctor, then you didn't do your homework carefully enough. But you don't get paid for that, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Similarly, madam, you did not fulfill your contract. You went home. You have no proof that he stole your makeup. I'm not sure what happened there. You got paid a little. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it was the week.
Hey, listen to me and don't interrupt me. Did I give you plenty of opportunity to talk?
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume that the plaintiff was not the only one on your set who was smoking this wonderful weed that they had in Antigua. I assume that that would be correct, sir. Look over there at his face. Was he there?
Yeah, he was there.
You get my drift?
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
Good. Me neither. but I'm sure there were people there who did. Right?
Yeah, Melissa.
Only her? You think that I believe that?
No, a few.
A few.
But not, and that don't have anything to do with the set.
Right, very good. Okay. Goodbye, folks. I don't think you have a case, madam. You got paid some money. I know he doesn't. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Melissa was smoking weed.
Completely false and hilarious.
And the weed is too strong for her.
That I do not smoke marijuana.
And I know that her behavior and everything is the weed.
So that's just totally false.
Let me tell y'all, don't mess with the Antigua weed. It's wicked.
Don't deal with con artists.
Don't mess with the weed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCullough versus Bongiorno, step forward, please.
Robert McCullough is suing a former bandmate of his daughter's friend, Joseph Bongiorno, for the return of his musical equipment.
Mr. McCullough, it is your claim that the defendant has a piece of music equipment that belongs to you.
Actually, two pieces, Your Honor.
An amp and something else.
And a controller for it, yes.
The defendant acknowledges that he has the equipment. He said it's his. You gave it to him.
Okay.
That's your defense, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where is it?
It is currently in my possession at my home.
How long do you know the plaintiff?
Mr. McCullough, I met back in November of 2008.
How did you meet him?
I met him through Matthew Clooney, the plaintiff's witness. I'd been in a band with them since early, probably November of 2007.
So you met him through your bandmate?
Yes.
Now, tell me the circumstances of how this perfect stranger to you, someone with whom you had no relationship with, no business dealings with, correct? Mm-hmm. Gave you what he says, valuable pieces of equipment worth in excess of $1,000.
I went to his house with Matt Clooney, and he said Matt had previously called me saying that Mr. McCullough had an amplification system for me to use, and I went to
use an amp system for you to use.
It was given to me, yes.
No, you first said he had an amp system for you to use.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the words that you just said. Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
No, of course it's right. You want me to play it back for you?
No, thank
What you said was, Matt called you and said that Mr. McCullough had amp equipment for you to use. Then you quickly changed the word use for you to have. But the first word you used was use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I took the equipment from Mr. McCullough.
What was the agreement? What did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
Well, when it was given to me or handed over to me, there was no agreement saying that I had to return the equipment.
Tell me what he said to you.
What he said to me was, you can have this equipment and use it, tell me what you think about it, and that was what was said.
Did you use it?
Yes.
Did you tell him what you thought about it?
No, I did not.
Then you have to give it back. He gave it to you to use, and he said to you, I want you to use this and tell me what you think about it. There's your contract, if I believe you. You never told him what you thought about the equipment.
No, I did not.
You got to give it back. Now. The fact that you're angry because you're no longer in the band doesn't mean you don't return the equipment. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Within 5 days, sir, you get your equipment back.
Your Honor, just one quick thing I'd like to interject, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What would be the recourse if he, in fact, does not have the two pieces of equipment?
Do you have the two pieces of equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
He has them.
Okay.
And they're to be returned to him in good condition. Otherwise, he can bring you back here. Do you understand? You don't want to be back here because you've already embarrassed yourself. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Harris, Washington versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
How old are you?
17.
What's your first name?
Jordan.
Jordan, you're a very tall boy.
Yes.
Woo! 17 years old. How tall are you?
6'6".
Life's not fair. All I wanted to be was 5'4".
All I wanted to do was be rich.
You made it.
Yeah.
Jordan, you play baseball?
Basketball.
Basketball. And this was your coach?
Yes.
Not your coach anymore?
Yes.
And you and your mother are suing him over an iPod?
Correct.
An iPod that Mr. Johnson said he did in fact sell. He's not even sure it belonged to you, but he has some story to tell me that he thinks justifies taking your iPod and selling it, and then he has a counterclaim for certain money that he says he extended to you, Jordan, and some harassment nonsense. So, Mr. Johnson, why don't you tell me about the iPod?
I know very little about the iPod until the incident happened.
Well, you were traveling, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you traveling?
It was in July of 2009.
And you were traveling with the team?
Yes, ma'am.
Jordan was a member of the team.
At that time, yes, ma'am.
You were traveling by bus?
We rented a 12-passenger van.
Is he the tallest one on the team?
At that time, yes, he was.
Where'd you get the iPod from, Jordan?
I bought it from a friend,
What friend?
Caleb.
When did you buy it from Caleb?
Say about March of 09,
How much did you pay him for it?
300,
Back in March of 09, what were they selling them for in the store?
400, 450.
Why wouldn't you buy one from the store?
Because my friend was selling it for cheaper.
Where did he get it from?
He got it from the store.
Okay. So tell me, now you're traveling by bus, Mr. Johnson, and what happened?
Well, to make the story right, my witness here can testify as to when the iPod first came in question.
Okay. Who are you?
Tammy Williams.
How do you know these people?
I'm his wife, and I'm a team manager, team mom. I take care of all the tournaments, make all the reservations.
Tell me what you know about this iPod.
I do know that we had got to our destination.
Which was where?
Las Vegas, Nevada. And Jordan approached me and told me that his iPod was missing. I told him, did you check your bag good enough? And Jordan said he did and he couldn't find it. Told him, go check the van. He said, well, maybe someone took it. And I told him, no one took it. So let everyone get their stuff out the van first. Go back and search the van. It's probably in the van. After that, I didn't hear anything about it until a couple days later. That time I had assumed that Jordan had found it because he never mentioned it anymore.
Okay. Then you can pick it up, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I was made aware of an incident concerning a player having money stolen from him. And so we decided to have a team meeting to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. And during that meeting, it was discovered, which he later admitted to, that Jordan was the perpetrator of stealing the $20 from the
Well,
other
tell me
teammate.
what Jordan said to you at that meeting.
At the initial meeting, when we had everybody, we called it kind of holding court. And so when I confronted Jordan, it was laughed off at like it was a prank. So at that time, I was like, man, give him his money back and be done with it. And that was the last I heard
Jordan,
at that time.
is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Tell me about the $20.
Okay.
Don't look up there. Up there's not going to help you.
Okay, after my iPod was missing for about 2 days, I was upset, and I seen a wallet on the bed, and I looked in it, and there's some money in there. I was upset about the iPod, so I just took I took $20 out of the iPod. I mean, out of the wallet.
Out of one of your teammates' wallets?
Yes, it was just sitting there.
I don't care if it was sitting there or doing a jig. You stole $20 out of his wallet.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, you gave the player the $20?
Actually, my wife gave the player
the $20.
He had been given the opportunity to return that money earlier in the day, and he never would do that. He told me he had left the money in his bag in the room, and I told him I would be going in his bag to retrieve the money to give it back to the player. When I got to the room, there was no money in the bag. So I had to wait for Jordan to come back from sightseeing to once again have the team meeting again and confront him about the $20.
And what happened at that meeting?
This is when his whole attitude really flipped on me. He, matter of fact, told me that he had no intentions of returning the money. And I was kind of thrown aback, and I asked him, well, why? What's going on? Why would you take your teammate's money? And he said, well, somebody stole my iPod. And I said, Jordan, nobody stole your iPod. I said, I got 12 teenagers pretty much living out of a 12-passenger van. The van is a mess. Did you go down there and search it? He said, no. I said, I'll tell you what, I am going to sleep. I'm tired. I've been coaching all day. I've been driving most of the time. I'm tired. You have till I wake up the next morning to go clean the van out to go get your iPod. If I get down there the next morning and I find that iPod, it belongs to me now because I had to pay the kid the $20 to keep the piece. And I basically told him he sold his iPod for $20.
So you said, I returned the $20 that you stole to the young man. If I go down and find your iPod, the iPod belongs to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went down, and lo and behold, what'd you find in the van?
First thing, when I opened the door, I looked under the seat where he was sitting, and there's a beautiful iPod sitting right under the seat where he was sitting at.
So what'd you do with it?
I walked up to the room, pretty upset still. I'm a coach. I get kind of animated. And I told him, I said, look, you got to the next morning when we get back home in Bakersfield. Bring me my $20. Other iPod is mine, and I'll do with it whatever I want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money? No. Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Jordan Washington says his former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, stole his iPod. Devin says he was trying to teach Jordan a lesson, and he is countersuing for an unpaid loan.
Now, Jordan, why didn't you return the $20 to the coach? I believe what he says, that he said to you, I have your iPod. When we get back to Bakersfield, give me the $20 back, because nobody stole your iPod. You just dropped it on the floor. Just give me back the $20 and I'll give you the iPod. Otherwise, I'm going to sell the iPod or do whatever I want to do with it, and I'll pay myself back. Why didn't you just give him back the $20?
I didn't have the $20 at the time.
What'd you do with it?
I already spent it.
On what?
Vegas. It was Vegas. Spent it.
May I say something, Your Honor? And actually, mind you, when he left to leave with us to Vegas, he didn't have his tournament money, and he had no money in his pocket. My wife felt sorry for him and was giving him spending money during that time just to put something in his pocket. So he didn't even have to steal from the boy. It might not have been a lot of money, but it was $10 here, $10 there, and that
Jordan,
he didn't appreciate that.
Did the Johnsons give you any money when you were traveling?
They gave me approximately $10. They gave me $10 to eat. Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Actually, Your Honor, I was purchasing him food, as other boys. He wasn't the only one. Some of them had more money than others. When they wanted to go sightsee, I gave him money. I gave that day, over the time, I gave over a couple $100. I'm giving 10 here, 15 here, and buying their meals.
You have some source of revenue from this team?
No.
No, actually, Your Honor, it's just a neighborhood traveling team. I just started to try to help at-risk kids in our community.
How is it funded?
By car washes, and then whatever we don't make up on car wash, we've split amongst the kids, and they have to come up with $20, $25, whatever to travel.
Well, how do you get the van? The van is more than $20, $25.
Through car washes, we kick in some money. You know, we just do what's necessary.
Sure,
Actually, Your Honor, I have a little article and some stuff that has, to show that we've been doing it for 8 years now. We're very serious about trying to make a difference.
How long were you on the team, Jordan?
I say about 3 months.
How long were the other kids on the team?
Since they were young, childhood.
What?
When Jordan told me what had happened, Jordan, I, and a friend had met with Mr. Johnson at the park. We waited till he finished Little League football. He was coaching. And I talked to him about the iPod. He told me what had happened. And he never once brought up that Jordan owed him any money. I asked him for the iPod back. He said that he had sold it. I said, well, you're either going to have to give him the iPod back or the money. And he just basically said, take him to court. And he went on and on about street justice, and I'm from the hood, and this is how we deal with that. And I said, I don't care where you're from. Legally, you're not supposed to hold somebody's property in payment of anything.
You're right.
Excuse me.
Now, just a second. You're right. But what I want to know, Ms. Harris, is what did you do and say to your son with regard to stealing this boy's money because he was angry?
I told Jordan he was wrong and he was going to have to accept responsibility.
Did he give the money back?
And no money was ever mentioned to me.
Listen to me. You didn't hear my question, Miss Harris.
Did he give the money back?
Did he give the money back to the boy who he stole it from?
No, he didn't.
Well, you come back to me, Miss Harris, when your son gives back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. You come back to me and ask for some justice from the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't come into a court and say, I stole, but there are no consequences. And somebody who, in effect, took the law into his own hands and decided what an appropriate response would be in his capacity as coach, I think it was wrong. Put your hand down, sir. I think it was wrong. But he doesn't have clean hands. He sort of thinks it was okay because he thought somebody stole his iPod. It was okay for him to steal out of somebody's wallet. Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
He basically was trying to get the iPod back.
No. That had nothing to do with it. You're making excuses for him, Miss Harris. That's an excuse. He just said to me he was mad because he thought somebody stole his iPod, so he was going to steal somebody's money.
Yes.
There were 12 people. I mean, more likely than not, he lost it rather than somebody stealing it. As it happened, that's what happened. He lost it. He found it, but he didn't even bother to look for it. It wasn't right under his nose, so he assumed somebody stole it. But that doesn't give him the right to go and steal somebody's money. So you come to me after your son pays back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. Then I'm going to entertain his case for the return of his iPod. You understand each other, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. How long ago did you steal this money?
It was during the trip, July 7th.
You've had almost a year to return the money.
The boy and I made arrangements.
To what?
To where I would have to, like, help him with his homework. I go to the same high school as he did.
And?
He struggles in a subject, and I help him, and the debt is already paid off. Instead of paying him $20, I helped him on his homework.
Why didn't you pay him back his $20 and help him with his homework anyway?
Your Honor, I find it real funny that he says he helped this man with his homework. Jordan has been in 5 schools in the last 4 years because of academic and failing grades. Caleb is a top-notch student. There's no way this young man is going to help that kid with his homework. He's 50 credits behind in school. I tried to help him out with coaching my football team to earn 10 more credits. He didn't complete that.
Does that sound right, Mr. Washington?
That's not true.
What subjects were you helping Caleb in?
Algebra, math.
Algebra is math.
Oh, yes.
Come to me with proof, sir, that you, in fact, paid back the $20, and I'll hear your claim with regard to the return of your iPod. It is your claim that you advanced some money to Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't create a debt with a minor.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Unless his mother agreed to repay you.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Absolutely.
During that time, Caleb was living with his father. I have never met the mother until after this incident, okay? When I brought Jordan home, I presented the iPod to his dad. It was not received because there was a question to where he got the iPod from.
What do you mean it wasn't received?
Well, when I tried to give the iPod to his father said, I don't want it because I don't know where my son got it from, and through his investigation, he couldn't find out where he got it from. So he would not take the iPod back. So that's when I decided I had to go ahead and sell it because it was a question. And when can I bring my counterclaim up?
I asked you about it, but you were hell-bent on telling me this story, which isn't as it happened, an interesting story.
Now, when I'm suing for the counterclaim, he didn't have his tournament money. It was agreed upon with I sued his parents that when we returned.
With whom?
Well, at the time it was his father, but I didn't know his mother was involved in his life at the time. So I didn't know, if it was either one. They both, whoever has supposed to have custody of them now. But on top of that,
tournament money, sir, is not unnecessary. It's not food, clothing, or shelter. So you can't hold Miss Harris responsible.
He needed food and shelter while he was in Vegas.
But you didn't make an agreement with her.
Okay.
To take him on a tournament. You made an agreement with his father.
I concede that, no problem. Now, I have another question now that I'm going for harassment because him, his mother, and the boyfriend approached my practice, disrupted my practice, and were claiming about the iPod, and then totally...
You better stop doing that, Miss Harris. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your son is a thief. He stole money. That's what you should be concerned about. I don't know if he stole the iPod. I believe the story Mr. Johnson tells me that his father says, I'm not touching this iPod because I don't know where he got it from. Because certainly I didn't give him $300 for an iPod. And I assume that at the time he was living with his father. Is that right?
No, he was there on summer vacation with his father.
I assume he was living with his father at the time.
Yes.
That's living with. Summer. Do you mean June, July, and August?
Yes.
Okay. So he was living with his father and he wasn't sure. Did you give him $300 for an iPod?
No.
Was he working?
Yes.
Where?
Paper route.
When?
He's been doing the paper route since '07.
And so the money he got from the paper route he used to buy the iPod, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did you tell that to your father?
No, my father knew nothing about the iPod.
He says he went to return it.
Until that's the only time he knew about the iPod, me having an iPod.
Huh. Your Honor, when his father called me and told me about the incident in Vegas, he never mentioned to me about an iPod or about Coach D having his iPod. Him and Coach D are friends. They've known each other for years. And he basically didn't want to get involved because Jordan is his son and the coach is his friend.
Miss Harris, who started this problem?
Jordan by stealing.
Right. I'm not excusing Mr. Johnson. I think that he did the wrong thing by selling the iPod, if he sold it. But your emphasis should not be on Mr. Johnson. Your emphasis should be on your son's conduct.
Yes, ma'am. He's basically a good kid, and this never happened before.
Fine. If he's basically a good kid and this never happened before, fine. But don't make excuses. And the fact that It sounds to me like Mr. Johnson donates a lot of time to the community to try to do good things, right?
Yes, but it was wrong what he did.
Yes, it was wrong what he did. He didn't steal. He exercised bad judgment with regard to teaching your son a lesson.
Yes.
That's different from stealing. That's different from a conscious act of trying to deprive someone else of their property knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And that's where your emphasis should be. And I suggest you and your son and your boyfriend stay away from Mr. Johnson. And if you want to see me again, you'll come back to see me again, having established to my satisfaction that your son's debt is paid. Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I say
That's
one more
all.
thing?
Judge Birchler versus Baker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Birchler, it is your claim that the defendant who used to be your boyfriend owes you money for a loan for bail and then a loan for some car repairs. Mr. Baker says there was never any agreement to pay you back, so there was no contract. Is that right, sir?
Yes, it is.
When were you arrested?
February 12th, 2009.
And what were you arrested for?
Driving unsuspended. And I got picked up because she was on her way to work. And
Just a second. You were arrested for driving with a suspended...
But I had a warrant.
You had a warrant?
Yeah.
For what?
For driving unsuspended. And we were on our way to...
We're going to do this my way, sir. I know that it might confuse you, but I like to do things in a linear fashion. You were arrested on February 12th, 2009. 9 or 2010?
Probably 10. 10.
And the warrant that you were arrested on was because you had been driving without a license.
That's correct.
And you were supposed to appear in court?
Yeah, and I missed my date.
Why did you miss your date?
I didn't know which day it was, and I didn't make it to it.
You don't know what year it is?
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me you didn't know what day it was. How long were you in jail when they arrested you on February 12th?
4.5 days.
For not having a driver's license?
Well, I had other warrants, too.
Right. Mr. Baker, we got enough aggravation in this country. We don't feed people 3 squares a day because they were driving on a suspended license. What were your other warrants for, sir?
I had 2 driving unsuspended, no insurance, and seatbelt, and then tail light, and that's it.
From how many different traffic stops?
3.
And you forgot all 3 dates, Mr. Baker, that you were supposed to be in court?
Yeah.
You must be a very, very busy man, running a very busy company.
Work a lot.
Doing what?
Well, now I do construction, but back then I was standing on the side of the road waving to people, Liberty Tax, and dancing.
You were standing on the side of the road waving at people for what?
For Liberty Tax. It's an income tax place. You get your taxes done there. That was just a part-time job.
And what were you doing with the rest of your time?
I was doing construction now, but back then that's all I was doing.
Who were you living with?
My parents.
So you weren't doing much of anything. So there was no reason why you didn't go to court for these tickets.
I just missed my dates. Stupid mistake.
And Miss Birch put up $500 towards your bail, right?
She felt sorry for me.
Well...
Because it was her fault I went to jail.
It was. Why don't you try to explain to me the best way you can why it's her fault that you went to jail?
I would have never went to jail if we would have never gotten that little argument, and she smacked me in my face. And then when she smacked me, I threw my hands up, and Mountain Dew went all over, and we were yelling at each other, and then I got out the car and tried to calm the situation down.
And tried to what?
Calm the situation down, make it better.
So you got out of the car after this argument.
Yeah.
And?
I started jogging to work because we were like a mile away from my work. She was supposed to drop me off.
So you were
work.
running away from the car?
Yeah, well, I was going to my job.
So you were running away from the car, and what happened?
Security guard saw the whole scene and picked me up.
Police picked you up?
Yeah.
So that's why it was her fault you got arrested and the warrants dropped on you?
I would have never got arrested if we would never gotten that fight. She would just drop me off my work. The whole situation would be prevented.
So it's her fault?
Pretty much, yeah.
Whose fault is it that you skipped your court dates?
That's my fault, but...
Whose fault is it that you got the tickets?
My fault, but...
Whose fault is it that you didn't have a seatbelt on?
Mine.
Whose fault is it that you were driving twice with a suspended license?
That'd be mine, too.
Well, why does somebody else have to pay for what you did wrong?
Because I wouldn't have got picked up.
Where do you live?
Independence.
Independence?
Missouri.
Missouri? You think that the police in Independence are that stupid that they'd never pick you up on a warrant?
They'd have to find me first.
What's the motto of Missouri?
Live free or die? Show me.
Show me. Show me state.
Show me state.
The show me state. I knew it was something that I would like. Okay, she put up the bail for you?
Yeah.
And how did she know where you were?
When I was in jail, I called my dad, and she was over at my house. He texted her to tell her that I wanted to talk to her, and she came over to my house.
She came over to your house, and when you called, what did you say to her?
I said hi, and she said hello. And then I asked her, if she would help me out, and she was like,
Would help
blah,
you
blah.
out how?
Well, I was stuck in jail, and I needed $1,400, and she just got her income tax. So she was like, blah, we got talking, and she said she was sorry for smacking me, which that's how I figured I got in there. That's the whole time I was thinking that.
Mr. Baker, you got put in jail because you were irresponsible and you had been breaking the law and you had been thumbing your nose at the court system by not showing up for your court dates. That's why you were in jail.
That's not true.
Oh, Mr. Baker, there's one thing to be stupid and there's another thing to appear to be stupid. Don't combine the two. You were in jail because you broke the law, and then you thumbed your nose at the court system by saying, I'm not going to court. And you didn't do that once, you did that 3 times. That's why you were in jail. You weren't in jail because she slapped you. You were in jail because you broke the law. Now do you understand?
No.
Here's your combination.
Look, that's a pretty powerful combo.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do I look like a smart lady to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? I look like a smart lady from you? Do you trust me?
Yes.
And later today,
if you're trying to be charming with me, trust me, it's not going to work. Better looking and richer people than you have tried to charm me without success.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Birchler says ex-boyfriend Ryan Baker owes for bail money and attorney fees after he was arrested on an outstanding warrant.
Okay. What do you do, Miss Birchler?
I work at a call center.
You work full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long have you been working full-time?
Since February 15th.
And how old are you?
20.
Did you work prior to that?
Yes, I worked at Macy's.
Worked there for a while?
A couple months. It was a part-time contingent job.
You live at home?
I have my own house. Well, complex.
It's a duplex, but...
Yes, it's a duplex. I'm sorry.
You pay rent?
Yes.
You drive a car?
Yes.
You pay insurance?
It's already paid. Yes, ma'am.
You buy your own clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't need him.
I understand that.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're too young to be desperate. Do you know what I mean? A pretty young 20-year-old who works hard and supports herself.
And my son.
It's not desperate. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Other than the $500 for bail, what does he owe you for, Miss Birchler?
About a week after I got my tax returns, he asked me if I would help him fix his car, and he said he needed to pay lawyers. I thought that's what I was understanding the money was for, so I told him he could borrow $300 as long as he promised to pay it back.
That's a lie. She didn't let me borrow it.
I don't want to hear you unless I'm looking at you and asking you a question.
This was on March 1st, and I said, as long as you pay me back $700 by...
Where was he supposed to get $700 from?
He was working, and he told me he'd give me his whole entire checks, that he wouldn't keep any of the money. So I was under the impression he might actually pay me back. So I gave him the $300 to help fix his car.
How much did he pay you back?
All in all, he paid about $100 back.
What do you mean about $100? What does that mean?
He would help me around my house.
I didn't pay her nothing.
Okay.
Didn't pay her anything?
No. And I didn't have a job when she gave me that $300. I was in jail and I lost my job.
So what did you need $300 more for from
to get
Ms.
my
Birchler?
fuel pump and a key ignition made? Because my ex-girlfriend, of course, I got a new girl after I got out of jail, and she was texting her about getting my car fixed. She lost my key.
I don't care. There must be lots of desperation there in Missouri. Stay away from him.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Stay away from him. Don't make any children with him. Don't get involved with him. Do I look like a smart lady to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? I look like a smart lady from you? Do you trust me?
Yes.
You escaped. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm quite pleased.
I didn't like it at all.
He had his new girlfriend, text me and let me know that he would not be paying back the money and that I needed to get over myself.
She was texting her, and then after I got the car fixed, she called my phone, and then my girlfriend picked it up and was talking to her.
She called me after that and told me I was a few choice words and that he would not be paying me back.
She didn't ask for any of the money until after I got a new girl.
Not date guys like him.
Don't talk to crazy girls like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Van Buskirk versus Shook. Step forward.
Wendy Van Buskirk is suing her former friend, 23-year-old Jonathan Shook, for unpaid rent, bail money, and a loan to buy an engagement ring.
Miss Van Buskirk, the defendant, according to you, was a young man that you took into your house. He was a friend of your son's. He had no place to go. You opened up your home. You took him in, and according to you, he owes you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
Claim he owes you some money for rent. This is not a major deal. But that you loaned him some money to buy an engagement ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want that money back.
Yes.
In addition, you bailed him out of jail in the amount of $200. What were you arrested for?
Having kitchen knives, basically. Deadly concealed weapon.
A concealed weapon.
A couple of them, yes.
Where do you live?
Waldorf, Maryland right now.
Where had you been living with the plaintiff?
It's Brandywine, Maryland.
In Maryland?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you move in with her?
I'd say right before the winter of 2008, I believe. I'm not exactly sure.
And where is her son now? You were a friend of her son's.
Right not Ocean City, but Atlantic City.
How long has he been in jail?
About a month.
What is your son in jail for?
Assaulting a police officer.
A couple other things.
Couple other things. I'm not exactly sure, but it's...
Well, he didn't start out just walking up to a police officer and assaulting him. It had to be...
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And I assume he's incarcerated pre-trial.
Yes.
Does he have bail?
Yes.
How much is his bail?
$1,000.
Did he ask you to bail him out?
Yes, he did.
And why didn't you?
Well, it started off at $7,800. It's been reduced to $1,000, and unfortunately I didn't have the money at first, and I plan on getting him out this Friday.
What was your rental arrangement with the plaintiff?
Well, when I moved in at first, nothing. I didn't have a job. I had nothing but it.
How old are you?
I'm 23 right now.
How do you make a living? How do you support yourself?
I detail cars right now, and I actually just got a job doing telecommunications.
And what kind of work was her son doing?
At the time, when I moved in, nothing at all.
What did you borrow money from her for?
I didn't.
Did you buy your girlfriend a ring?
Yes, I did.
Where'd you get the money from?
I paid part of it, and she said she was going to give me the rest as a gift to help me out.
How much did she pay?
I'm not exactly sure the exact numbers, but I paid for about half.
The ring was $629.99, and the warranty for the ring was $74.99.
What kind of warranty do you get on a ring?
The warranty is for, you have to take in every 6 months for cleaning, replacing the diamond if it gets lost.
That's some... I won't say that. I'll hear from all the jewelers if I say that that warranty is a ripoff.
Oh, it is.
So I don't want to hear from any jewelers out there. Don't write to me. Don't say bad things. I don't understand a $75 warranty on a ring. Did he put anything towards the ring?
3 payments of $45, Your Honor.
That's not true. I gave her like $300 up front.
No, he did not.
And then I made the payments of $45, and she said the rest was a gift.
If you don't have money, you don't buy a ring.
Well, I understand that.
Well, you shouldn't have bought it.
I had the money that she wanted.
You didn't have the money.
And then she said the rest was a gift.
You didn't have the money.
Not all me.
If you have $300 and you want to buy a ring, find a ring for $300.
That's why
If you had $400...
Find a ring for $400.
I don't think you're cute, as a matter of fact.
I understand.
Just want you to understand that. If you're trying to be charming with me, but trust me, it's not going to work.
No.
Better looking and richer people than you have tried to charm me.
I believe it. I believe it.
Without success.
Oh, I believe it.
That didn't require a response.
Okay.
Try taking the hair out of your eyes. You'll see the world better.
All right.
Ma'am.
Don't speak. Sorry. Now, when you were arrested, you had a phone call to make.
Yeah.
Who'd you call?
Called a couple people just to let them know I was locked up, and then next thing I know, I was out of jail.
You never called the plaintiff?
Never talked to her.
How did you find out he was in jail?
Through my daughter-in-law, Nicole.
Through your daughter-in-law?
Yes.
This child is married to your son who's incarcerated?
No. No.
To another son?
Yes.
Okay. How did you find out he was in jail?
I was with him when he got arrested.
What were you all doing?
We were walking down the side of the road trying to keep him from going inside the road.
Explain that to me. Look at me when you explain it to me.
He was just upset, and...
He was upset about what?
I don't exactly remember about what. Something that was stressing him out, and he was just walking in and out of one of the main roads, so we were just walking next to him, making sure he didn't get hurt. Me, Johnny, and a friend of his that was with us.
So he was trying to walk in traffic?
He was just walking in the road. We were walking on the side of the road. He just happened to walk in the road. We were just walking with him down the side of the road. And the cops ended up coming up saying that he was impeding traffic, and he had a whole bunch of knives on him.
Was he high on drugs?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Well, probably was high on drugs or something if he was impeding traffic. And then they searched him and found these concealed weapons?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, terrific. Now, what did he say when he called you? I assume he called you from jail?
Well, he called Wendy from jail.
Called her?
Yes.
Good. Sit down. She says he called you from jail.
He begged me to get him out of jail. I have a receipt for bail and the bail.
How long were you in jail, Mr. Shoup?
Like 8, 9 hours. Not even that long. They, well, PG County out in Maryland, they let you out the next morning, or I'd have been let out that night when they paid my bail, but I never...
You used drugs, Mr. Shoup?
Used to.
What was your drug of choice, sir?
Marijuana.
What else?
That's it.
Were you high on the day you were arrested?
Nah, I've been clean for like 3 years, 4 years now, actually.
Then what were you doing obstructing traffic?
Trying to get my dog out the road at first, and then I dropped knives in the road. They were in a box, and I dropped the box to go chase after the dog in the road. There you go. Once I got the dog back, I went to go get the knives out the road. And that's when the state trooper pulled up, and I was walking down the road, and he didn't lock me up that day. He locked me up the next day. It was a confusing situation, and then they dropped the charges after it all was done and over with, so it just didn't make no sense.
I'm staying in Greenwich. Did you call her and ask her to bail you out of jail?
No, ma'am. I don't even know the house number to call her.
You used to live there. How long did you live there?
About 1.5 years, but I never used the house phone. I have a cell phone.
You have 10 seconds to tell me about rent, because I'm not actually interested. Go!
He paid $100 a month. Prior to moving out, he didn't pay for 3 months.
When did you move out of the house?
I'd say around October of last year. I just couldn't stay there no more. And she had said something about, you know, getting the couches and everything out of there, which I didn't understand. It was not my problem. You know, it's her son's bedroom, and we both brought the couches in, and why do I have to take the couches out of the room? If they were his couches, he's the one that got bought.
Just give her the money for the ring and your bail. $495 for the ring and $200 for your bail. Perfect.
Crum versus Granberry Foltz Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Crum, somehow you are related to these 3 young ladies.
Yes, Yvonne Foltz is my aunt. And
who's the aunt? Yes?
And Jaleesa and Janika are my cousins.
Are they your children?
Yes.
For some reason, there was a falling out with your aunt and her children, and it is your claim that one or all of them were responsible for keying your car.
Yes.
When was your car keyed?
December 10th in the parking lot of Walmart.
Who had driven the car there?
Yvonne was driving her vehicle.
Who had driven the keyed car?
Oh, I drove my car.
What time did you get to the parking lot?
I'd say I was probably there around 9:30ish because I just got off of work. And
9:30
in the morning.
a.m. What kind of work do you do?
I do medical assistant.
Who was driving your car?
Your Honor, at that point in time, I was at work.
You were at work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
2008 Kia Rio, black 4-door.
And where do you work?
At that time, I was working at Target Distribution in Woodbury, Minnesota.
You still working there?
No, ma'am.
Who was your supervisor?
My supervisor there was, I forgot her name because I'm not working there anymore due to all this stuff that's going on now.
I'll wait. Remember who your supervisor was and the phone number.
I don't have that with me right now.
We'll wait. Go get it.
Excuse me.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
17.
Where do you work?
Don't work right now.
What do you do?
I'm looking for employment.
What were you doing on December 10th, 2010?
I was at my cousin's house.
Cousin's house where?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
And where is this Walmart parking lot?
It's in Blaine, Minnesota.
How far is that from St. Paul?
Like 50 minutes.
How did you get to St. Paul?
My cousin.
Came to pick you up?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for like 3 days.
From when to when?
Saturday, and
Date.
I don't know what date it was because December 10th never happened at Walmart, and the 10th would have been a Monday.
I just asked you what date. You were visiting
I'm not sure.
with your cousin. I didn't ask you. December 10th did in fact happen. It was a day.
Yeah, I went over there before December 10th, and it was that weekend, so it was a Saturday. What I'm saying is December 10th, I don't know the date, but it was days before that.
Who went with you?
My sister and my daughter. She was suspended that day, so that's also why she was with me.
She was suspended? How old is your daughter?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister was suspended.
We were together because it was a weekday, and she was suspended from school, so we were together in St. Paul.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 4 on April 21st.
Ms. Crump, can you tell me whether this was a trip that you had planned to make to Walmart?
Yes, indeed it was. I was going to go to Walmart to go shopping for Christmas shopping for my kids.
Yes.
And as I was on my way there, I saw Yvonne Carr following me.
Just a second. You have the phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
And the name of your supervisor?
Jill.
Just hand it to me. Thank you. So you were on your way to Walmart and you passed the defendant's car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when I seen her make a really quick right turn behind me. So I kept going, and at the time I'm on the phone with my mom too, saying like, oh, I see your sister and she's following me. And she's like, just keep going to where you're going. And I drove to Walmart, which was probably about a couple blocks from there. And once I got there, I noticed they were still behind me. So then I hurry up and parked.
Look over there. Look at me.
So I hurry up and parked. And once I parked, they parked only about, I'd say, a few cars from me.
Who was in the car?
It was Yvonne, Janika, and Jaleesa.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, I parked, and they were still behind me, and my mom was on the phone, so I'm like, okay, they still here. Why are they here? So she said, just go into the Walmart. And before I get out of my car, I can hear them yelling, oh, I'm going to F this B up. If she don't get out the car, we'll break the windows and get her out. And if she just act funny or say something funny, we're going to beat her up.
So, Ms. Crum, there is no question in your mind that the defendants were at the Walmart parking lot on December 10th?
Correct.
That she was not at work at December 10th at 9:30 in the morning?
Correct.
And these two were not in, I don't know, visiting a cousin for a couple of days. They were with their mother?
Correct.
And I don't really have to get into what this family dispute was all about. I don't want to know. Okay. Suffice it to say, I assume that at one time you were a close family, and because of something you're not a close family anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows how to just not be a close family without being destructive.
Exactly. You're violent.
I don't care. That's not my problem. I don't want to put this family back together. I don't care if you're not back together. All I care about is your keyed car.
Me too, exactly.
Now, did you go into the Walmart?
I did. I actually ran and afraid of being assaulted by them three. So I ran into Walmart.
And when you came out is when you noticed your car was keyed?
I noticed the damages on my car.
And you did not see any of them key your car?
No, but I'm pretty sure they did it because
Just
they were
a second.
saying...
It's very easy to determine. Can I see pictures of your car, please? Would you show me where it was keyed? Are you talking about these marks here? I don't know. It's very hard when you do these blow-up pictures to see what you're talking about.
Circle where the damage is, please.
Did you take those pictures with your phone?
I did.
I'd like to see it in your phone rather than blown up so that I can't see a thing.
And you can just move your finger towards the left and it should keep going.
Got it. Now I got it.
Okay.
Much easier to see. Thank you. Okay. So far, there is no proof other than your statement that they were, in fact, there. You didn't see them do it. But certainly, she says she was at work. They were in some other place. So if they were lying to me about her being at work on that day, that's easy, right? Yvonne, right? If you were lying to me about not being at work.
I have no reason to lie, ma'am.
Great.
and this supervisor would know whether or not you were at work on December 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You swore in an answer, I was at work, these two weren't with me, they were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example, that's why she's suspended from school.
And later today,
Them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jasmine Crum says family members Yvonne Fultz and her daughters Jaleesa Granberry and Janika Williams keyed her car.
Jill, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. Good morning. I'm in the middle of trying a case, and there was a date in question as to whether one of your former employees was actually working. The date is December the 10th, 2010, in the morning. Thank you, Jill. Was she there at any time that week? Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Not supposed to lie in front of your children.
That I don't do.
You're not supposed to lie in front of your children and make them co-conspirators in your lie. You understand?
Your Honor, I am
Do you
not a liar.
understand?
Maybe I have got a date wrong because I was working a lot of
Listen,
overtime.
don't tell me I have the date wrong.
No,
you know
no.
exactly why you're coming to court. You know exactly the date. You swore in an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
No, Your Honor.
No? You don't think so? Well, you weren't working on December 10th. How much did it cost to fix your car?
I have the repair damages.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm not speaking to you.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out. Think twice about your mothering.
All these are excused. You may step out.
I'm pretty sure that they showed you all their drama right here on camera. They're drama queens.
They're all young adults, 18 and older, who physically assaulted my daughter.
2 years ago, Yvonne cut me with a butcher knife here. She cut me here.
I've been up and down for months and months with all this harassment.
I think it's maybe jealousy on their side.
I have a son who's been shot by somebody on her entourage side of the family.
I filed a restraining order to keep them away from me and my children.
It was just crazy to me how they thought they was going to come in there alive.
I wonder why she hated on us. We never did anything to her.
I have assault charges. I have restraining orders and everything.
It's just been going on and on and on, and there's so much hatred and stuff in between the families.
With them people, there is no family.
I'm glad we came to Judge Judy today to settle that, and for once, somebody spoke up for us, and it looks right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Rowe. Step forward.
20-year-old Shanae Lewis is suing former friend, 20-year-old Brianna Rowe, for keying her car. Shanae claims Brianna admitted to the crime on Facebook.
Miss Lewis, it is your claim that the defendant keyed your car, caused damage in the amount of about $2,500. Miss Rowe says she didn't do it. How do you know each other?
I know Brianna because we were friends in high school. We hung out with the same people and went to the same parties, so we...
All right, so that's how you know each other.
Correct.
When was your car vandalized?
In the summer, around July 2010.
What do you mean around July?
July 2010. I don't know the exact date.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I did not.
Do you remember where your car was?
Yes, I do.
Where was your car?
It was parked at a mutual friend's parking spot in an apartment.
Where?
In Citrus Heights, California.
What's the address?
I do not know the name of the apartment.
I didn't ask you the name. What's the address?
I do not know the address.
What do you know?
I know that my car was parked in a covered parking spot that was allowed by the owner of the apartment.
Well, you can't tell me if it was allowed by the owner of the apartment because that's hearsay.
Okay, well, my car was parked in a covered parking spot.
And?
And it was keyed.
And?
And I have proof that Brianna Rowe did it.
I'd like to see your proof.
Well, we were at a mutual
Listen
friend.
to me.
Yes.
I want to see your proof.
Okay, I have documents of the pictures of my car.
Listen to me. I want to see the proof.
Okay, here's the proof of my car.
I don't have to see the keys car. You don't even know when it happened. I want to see proof that the defendant keyed your car.
Okay, well, she admitted on Facebook to doing it.
Let me see it.
This is the conversation right here, and it's highlighted right there.
Bert, you have younger children. Would it be possible for you to interpret this gibberish that is highlighted for me?
I'll give it a shot. Okay. Laugh out loud. I can care less for you. I keyed your car because my best friend didn't like you. But I'm too grown to go bad on you on Facebook. I'll leave being ignorant to you. I guess anyway, have a nice day.
It's almost like reading Sanskrit.
Yes. I don't dig text speak, but I know it.
Could you show that to the defendant?
Yes.
Take a look at that. Is that your thesis?
Oh, I have one of these too.
Well, I'm asking you, is that yours?
Mm-hmm. Did I write it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you tell her you keyed her car?
Because she had made a post that said, Granddad is getting my car detailed.
That said what?
She was getting her car detailed and fixed after them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us because she accused us of keying her car.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her of
I just want to know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you. You knew that yourself without having been named. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because she had already accused of us doing it.
So even though you weren't named, you decided to tell her that she was right, that you did in fact key her car. And if Officer Byrd read it right, you told her why you keyed her car.
I wrote it to make her mad.
Well, why would you think, if she already knew that you and your raggedy friend were the ones that keyed her car, why did you think it would make her mad if you admitted it?
No, she thought Elena had keyed her car.
No. She talked about two raggedy people.
She didn't say how many.
No, she said after them.
Yes.
Well,
and then,
raggedy, and she uses the word with an S.
Mm-hmm. Plural.
That would be two.
Yes,
two.
But
so
it was three of us at the house.
Three of you. Well, how many of you keyed the car?
None of us.
None of. Well, then why would you admit to keying her car?
Because she accused us of it. After her car got keyed, she came in the house, threw papers at Elena, and told us we keyed her car.
There's something wrong with you. Honestly, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I can't get myself overly exercised about this case, quite frankly, Miss Lewis, because you don't even remember what date it happened. How many times has your car been keyed?
None.
Well, one.
Well, once.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is your Facebook page?
Yes.
And this is you with this bathing suit?
Yes, if that is a bathing suit.
Well, I just want to know.
Yes, that is me up there.
Is there any reason why you think that this is an appropriate picture just to send around the internet?
I did modeling, and that was a picture that I like, and I feel that I wanted to post it.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Your Honor, me and the defendant had been friends before this happened.
The defendant and I had been friends also.
The defendant and I were friends before this happened. And the reason why I believe the motive that they had...
I don't care what their motive was. She admitted it. It's irrelevant to me what her motive was.
Okay.
I assume that you had some sort of a falling out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Now I'll see the pictures of your car.
Okay.
When did you take these pictures of your car?
I took them when it happened, and then I took some more before I came.
And since you don't know exactly when this happened, sometime last summer, I assume you've been driving around with your car exactly the way it is?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate to have it fixed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. No, they're not repairing any dents. She didn't dent the car. She keyed it.
There's dent marks and scratch marks on
Very good.
That.
Yeah, okay. Could you explain to me why you filed this lawsuit for $2,500 and the estimate that you have was $15,000?
Because I am suing for, I believe that, for the scratches and for punitive damages.
For punitive damages for what?
Because every time that I have to drive around my car and have the word written on it, that's embarrassing for me to have to ride around and be disrespected like that. I have a newborn son, and I don't want that portrayed for me. I'm not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What do you have a newborn son for? I thought you went to school.
I do go to school.
Who takes care of your newborn son?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, spend $500, get your car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount. Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Van Buren, when were you and Mr. Ackerman married?
1994 to 2007.
And you have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you and Mr. Ackerman live together?
We lived together probably from 1992 to 2006.
So far, is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Your one child is 15, and I believe from my reading of the paper that Mr. Ackerman has custody of that child. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are under a child support order for that child?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Is it correct that you are currently in arrears on your child support and your driver's license was suspended because of that?
Yes, ma'am.
You are $15,000 in arrears?
That is not accurate.
How much in arrears are you?
Closer to 16, Your Honor.
I didn't actually come to court to prepared to prove what I've paid on child support.
That's not my question.
On file it says $15,000, but I can prove that I don't owe that much. There was a period of time.
Just a second. And your license was suspended in January of this year, 2011, for
yes, because of a
non-payment
payroll
child.
mistake at my job.
For non-payment of child support. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Was your driver's license suspended in January?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it suspended for?
For non-payment of child support.
That's what I said.
There was a clerical error that my payroll department made.
Maybe yes, maybe no. This is what your lawsuit is about. First, you claim that your wages might be garnished and you have to pay an IRS debt that was accrued during the time that you and Mr. Ackerman lived together. So you want him to be responsible for half of that IRS debt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you notified of that IRS debt?
I had made attempts in 2008 to make this right with the IRS. I didn't get far enough in the process before they levied my account in 2009.
Ms. Van Buren, when did this IRS debt accrue? From what year to what year?
I'm sorry. The years of 2000 through 2006.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
What years?
2003 to 2006.
And you were still married then, is that right, Mr. Ackerman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were divorced in 2007?
Correct.
When, if ever, were you notified of this deficiency?
After her license was suspended, she filed the lawsuit a week later for the back taxes. That's the first I found out about it.
Ms. Van Buren, when for the first time did you have communication, either by email or letter, with Mr. Ackerman that you had received a notice of deficiency from the IRS?
We both knew in that marriage.
Don't tell me what we knew.
I notified him of the levy of my account either the day of or the day after.
The day of or the day after what?
When they levied my account.
Show me your initial notice from the Internal Revenue Service.
What I have is a bank statement.
That's no good. I want to see the statement from the IRS indicating...
I have documentation with me from the IRS, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it. Do you have any documentation with you from the IRS?
I have tax returns.
That's not what I want.
May I request some assistance from my witness, please?
Who is your witness?
Jason Schwiller.
Who is it?
My boyfriend.
No. 2004, you were still living together. 2005, you were still living together. 2009, you were divorced.
Right.
Correct.
2003, I'm not interested in. Well, this is to you, Ms. Ackerman, indicating that you worked out a tax repayment plan with the IRS. There's a letter here, December 31st, 2009, indicating that there was an overpayment on his tax return of $304, but that's after the divorce.
Right, that was supposed to be a refund, and they added it to the back taxes.
What do you mean they added it? You mean they paid down the back
Correct.
taxes?
Correct.
And how many times did they do that?
I think that was the only time.
Okay, and how much have you paid them back?
I paid them with my refunds that I have filed in 2007, 8, and 9. All that was taken from me.
Not 7. How much was taken in 2008 and how much was taken in 2009?
All of them, and I don't have the amounts with me.
Well, then I can't help you. How am I supposed to help you? He had his refund taken and applied to back taxes as well. How do you expect me to make it as equal as I can if you don't know how much they took of your refund? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What
What are you doing here? What do you want here? Why did you file this claim?
Your Honor, may I
Sit.
speak?
No.
And later today,
There has to be some basis for a lawsuit. Otherwise, what you do is you clog up the courts.
I agree
with
with that.
nonsense.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Van Buren says ex-husband Chris Ackerman owes for money garnished from her account by the IRS and for half of their son's unreimbursed medical bills.
Ms. Van Buren, you want to tell me what you believe that Mr. Ackerman owes you with regard to unpaid medical expenses for your child?
February 7th of 2010, our son was involved in a serious accident. He was taken to emergency room and then transported by ambulance to another hospital to receive emergency surgery.
Okay.
I've gotten all the bills paid except for just under $5,000 of that. I have my divorce decree stating that he was responsible for half.
Does your divorce decree say who's supposed to have insurance for him?
She
Yes,
is
ma'am.
supposed to have insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
You're shouting out.
And I am, and I've always insured my child.
But your insurance lapsed.
Yes, it did. I have always had my son covered. The insurance company that I have through my job has a verifications benefits company. I have a document stating that they had him covered in 2010. They had dropped the wrong dependent. It was a big mess. I said, look, you need to switch this. You need to take my ex-husband off that had been my ex-husband for 3 years. I said, you need to take him off of there and put my child back on. When I went to re-enroll him for coverage they should have never denied him to begin with, they said that I failed to provide proper documents for the insurability of him. In other words, I needed to prove insurability. After 3 trips to the courthouse, birth certificate, Social Security card, they were not happy with the 2 pages that I provided of my divorce decree.
Ms. Van Buren, your judgment of divorce provides that you are to maintain insurance for the child. The insurance lapsed through no fault of his, whether it was your fault or a combination your fault and the insurance company's fault. What you're asking me to do is to say because you were under court order to provide insurance.
Which I did provide insurance, ma'am.
No. If you did, then we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
I had him covered.
Then you would have had no medical bills.
Well, I can't get all the medical bills, or some of the medical bills are not going to pay.
Miss Van Buren, he did not have any insurance. I mean, you can't have it both ways. At the time of his accident, was he insured or not insured?
He was not insured,
Sure.
but I got the
Sure.
bills paid. I got him covered, and then after that, I got him continuous coverage to the state of Georgia.
Miss Van Buren, you're not following my question. 2 answers. Either he was covered when he was in his accident, or he was not covered. Was he covered or not covered?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, he was covered.
If he was covered, then why did you have thousands of dollars in medical bills? Show me where they applied your insurance to his bills, and if your divorce decree provides that his father should pay for 1/2 of the unreimbursed medical bills, I'll be more than happy to award you half of that. But I want to see where you had bills that were covered by insurance and there was a deductible or something else. Do you have any of those?
No, I only have the...
Of course not.
I only have the bills that they didn't pay.
No, because he was not insured at the time of his accident, correct? Is that correct?
I had him covered for the month of the accident.
He wasn't insured at the time of the accident.
Not under the insurance company that is provided by my employer, no.
Well, just a second.
The bills that were incurred by this accident was probably $250,000. He went under 2 major surgeries, okay? And after I thank God that he was alive, my sole purpose was to get this child covered. Because as far as I was concerned, it's not my fault that they dropped my child. I have always had my child insured.
Miss Van Buren, it may not be your fault, but it's not his.
Exactly.
I don't know whether it's your fault or not, but I know it's not his fault. Because your divorce decree, I mean, I've read your papers very carefully, provided that you were to make child support payments and you were to keep him covered by your insurance. And your former husband was to pay for 1/2 of the unreimbursed medical bills. That's standard language. Is that what it says in your divorce decree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all you have to do is show me the bills that were paid by insurance, what your deductible or unreimbursed medical bills were, and I will entertain them. And if you don't have those, I can't help you.
I don't have those documents, ma'am.
Well, then I can't help you, Miss Van Buren. I don't know where you thought you were coming today. You know, you came here for two different reasons, and you don't have paperwork with regards to either one.
I think right off the bat you were misinformed by some arrears that I owe. I was not prepared to come here and prove that I have been providing for my child. So I think right from the get-go, you don't like me because I haven't been paying my child support, which is not the truth.
Miss Van Buren,
I have been providing for my child.
You can get exercised, but what I'm telling you is, based upon your papers that I read, you were aware of this tax debt for a long time. You told me that you were aware of this tax debt for the last 3 years.
So was he. He was aware of it. I was too.
Listen to me.
Aware of it.
Hey, listen to me carefully. You can get as exercised as you like. You didn't sue him until after your driver's license was suspended last month. That's when you got angry. And don't get angry with him. Don't get angry with me.
My license. I'm not on trial here for child support.
I didn't say you were, madam. What I'm saying to you, madam, is you had two issues. You brought proof of neither.
I only want it fair. We were married for 12 years. For 6 years, we did not file taxes, and he knew that. Why should I be responsible to pay all of this? And it's paid in full, and that's what I'm happy about.
Miss Van Buren, all I asked you was to show me what your tax refund
and I'm not
was
able to buy that for you, but you know what? It's paid, and really that's what I care
So then what are you doing here? What do you want here? If it's paid and then you're happy with that, then what are you doing here? Why did you file this claim? And if you file the claim, it's your responsibility to bring the paperwork. Sit. No. Because if you knew anything, you would have to have the paperwork here.
We have paperwork.
Well, she doesn't have it here.
She has bank statements showing payment paid to the IRS.
Not bank statements. IRS statements that show we have taken the following: $304 on your past due IRS debt. That's what the letter shows from the IRS. That's what she will have someplace, not a bank statement. That's all. Thank you. That's all.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He knows he owes me half his tax debt.
I had no clue. She lied then, and now she's lying about the insurance on the child.
I hope that, we can communicate, but I don't think it's going to get any better from here.
I would like to be able to communicate with her, but she's very unreasonable, and I don't see that happening.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Wiseman versus Carmen. Step forward.
Diane Wiseman is suing former business associate Molly Carmen for expenses she incurred while studying to become a private detective.
Miss Wiseman, let me see if I can put in a very Reader's Digest way what this case is about, so perhaps I can simplify it for both myself and for the two of you. You wanted to go into the private investigation business. Could you stop, Miss Carmen? Papers down.
I'm sorry.
It's not so...
I'm sorry.
Not so difficult. Miss Wiseman, you wanted to go into the private investigation business. According to your complaint, you contacted the defendant, who had been a private investigator for quite some time.
Yes, ma'am.
You made some sort of an arrangement with her where she would come and instruct you so that you could get your license. In what jurisdiction?
Washington State.
Miss Carmen traveled to Washington State from
Boise, Idaho,
at her own expense to come and work with you in setting up your business and doing some training.
Yes, ma'am.
You had no written agreement with her whatsoever, and no oral agreement with regard to a partnership, an arrangement to sharing of income. I don't know why she did it. I don't care. But there was no contract between the two of you. So far, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Miss Carmen, according to your complaint, did not follow through with what she had to do to take a test in Washington State in order to train you. And therefore, you had to hire someone else and do some other paperwork in order to get your license.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Carmen wants to be compensated for her travel to the state of Washington, even though there was no agreement to compensate her for travel. So far, correct?
Correct.
So, what you need, Miss Wiseman, is a cause of action. And you don't have a cause of action. You don't have a cause of action for breach of contract. Contract requires an offer, an acceptance, and consideration. Those are the basic parts of any contract, whether it be written contract or an oral contract. What was Miss Carmen supposed to get out of this arrangement?
She was supposed to get part of the ability to be able to work with us.
I don't know what that means.
She was going to work with us
And if she came to Washington State, she came to Washington State because her son and grandbabies live there. So.
I assume that she didn't come just for you.
Right.
I assume that you were an afterthought in her visiting somebody else there. I assume she didn't come for you. In any event, you don't have a contract. That's a nebulous sort of thing. She was supposed to get something to work maybe with us and maybe... That's not a contract. Bird has this. I need this. He knows how much I need this. This is a calculator. So I say, Bird, would you sell this to me? And he says, I'll sell it to you for $5. I give him $5. Offer, acceptance, the $5 is consideration. Now I have this, whether it's oral or in writing. That's a contract. But you have no contract. You asked her for help. She came. It didn't work out. So you had to do what you had to do in order to get licensed. She's not responsible for that. You understand? I thought I might tell you that. Now, under what theory do you think you're entitled to be compensated for your travel to the state of Washington?
Well, Your Honor, she was in a hurry. I wouldn't have traveled on those dates, but she was on medical leave from her job.
I don't care about that. Did she tell you she would reimburse you for your travel?
No, she did not, but I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart.
Good, then what are you bothering the courts for?
No good deed goes unpunished, I guess.
But I don't understand why you're bothering the courts with your lawsuits.
I don't think I'm bothering you, hopefully.
Actually, it is. There has to be some basis for a lawsuit. Otherwise, what you do is you clog up the courts.
I agree with
nonsense. Put your hand down. There has to be some basis for a lawsuit, either in negligence, contract, breach of warranty.
I do believe there was negligence, ma'am.
There wasn't negligence, madam. She has to owe you a duty. She doesn't owe you a duty to take a test so that she could train you.
But she agreed to.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Ms. Wiseman, you didn't put your ears on. There has to be offer, acceptance, and consideration. You do not have a contract with her. Put your hand down.
I'm sorry.
Bird wants his room cleaned. He's very messy. I say I have nothing to do on Saturday. I'll come over and clean your room. On Saturday, I said, what am I, crazy? I'm not going to go over and clean Bird's room. Or I go over there on Saturday, I look at it and I say, you know, this is a real pig pen. I'm not cleaning this room. And Bird said, you said you would come over and clean my room. And now I'm going to go and hire somebody and pay him $200 to clean my room and charge you for it.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing, Ms. Wiseman.
Right.
Now, did I make that clear to you now?
I'm clear.
Good. Case is dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In the matter of Burton versus Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Burton, it is your claim that the defendant, who used to be your boyfriend, assaulted you and damaged your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the same day. The defendant says you were the instigator of this altercation. He has a counterclaim. He says that you broke his laptop during this little hissy fit that he claims you were having, and also a necklace that he was wearing. First, tell me whether you and Mr. Anderson ever lived together.
Yes, we did at one point.
From when to when?
We lived together from the beginning of July to the end of July.
Give me the dates that you lived together.
July 1st to the 24th, 2010.
And did you move into his house or did he move into yours?
I moved into his house that he was living in.
Your Honor, she's lying.
Whoa.
This bold-faced lie.
Was I addressing you?
No, Your Honor.
Then don't speak. When I ask you a question, then you'll tell me your side of the story. Do we understand the rules, Mr. Anderson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you moved into his house July 1st to July 24th. Where did you move from?
From my mother's home.
How old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Did you have your mother's approval in moving in with Mr. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay Mr. Anderson rent?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I paid him $100 for living there from the 1st to the 24th.
In whose room did you stay?
Mr. Anderson's.
How many people live in that home?
It was 4 at the time.
Who are they?
Mr. Anderson, myself, and 2 of Mr. Anderson's friends, males.
And from July 1st to July 24th, did you sleep there every night?
Not every night, no, ma'am.
When you didn't sleep there every night, where did you sleep?
At my mother's home.
How many nights did you spend at your mother's home?
It was about half and half, honestly. I was
all right, Miss Burton. Then we didn't live with Mr. Anderson.
Okay, but I paid the rent.
You see how nice it is when you're quiet? I'm really good at ferreting out the information that I need, Mr. Anderson. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know where it's going to go, but I want you to trust me that by the time I get to you, I'll know more about this case than I did when I first came in here. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. So you didn't live with Mr. Anderson. Occasionally you slept in his room.
Right. But I paid rent there, and I
don't care. I don't know whether you paid rent there or not. You
Okay.
have a receipt from the landlord?
No, ma'am.
You have a check?
No, ma'am.
Then you have nothing.
Yeah, I just paid him cash. I understand.
Then you have nothing.
I understand.
Then you slept over with Mr. Anderson 12 nights.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now, on what date was this incident that you are complaining of today, Miss Burton?
18, 2010.
August 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were no longer even spending the night over there, because according to you, you were spending nights over there from July 1st to July 24th some of the time.
Correct.
So this happened on August 18th. You were no longer there.
Correct.
And you hadn't been there since the 24th.
Correct.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you happy? You're happier.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you're going to tell me what happened on August 18th, Miss Burton.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to read off my statement, or?
Oh, I wouldn't like you to read off your statement. I would like you to close your statement and tell me.
Absolutely. On August 18th, 2010, it was the afternoon. I don't remember the exact time, so I'm not going to say it. But Mr. Anderson called me pleading that he needed a ride home. He said he had no help. No one was going to help him. He had no other way to get home.
Where was he?
He was at a Shell gas station.
Did you call her and ask for a ride home?
No, Your Honor.
On August 18th, how did you first communicate with Miss Burton?
She called my phone.
And when she called your phone, what did she say, Mr. Anderson?
She was telling me, you know, she wanted to get up. She wanted to see me. And
She wanted to get up.
She wanted to link up.
Link up.
Absolutely.
And what time was this?
It was sometime in the afternoon, maybe about 3, 4 o'clock.
Where were you?
I was at one of my friend's house. I had just helped one of my friends load up some furniture and move her over to a new spot.
And then what happened, Mr. Anderson?
At that time, she called my phone.
Right, said she wanted to link up. Now, you hadn't seen her since July 24th, or you had seen her?
I don't think, I'm really not sure.
But you hadn't been together since July 24th.
Correct.
Had you had an argument on that date?
I really can't pinpoint the date because every time we talked or seen each other, it was an argument.
Okay, keep going. So, you were at a friend's house.
So I was at a friend's house. She called me. I did need a ride back to my residence. So she gave me and my friend, Joshua, who's not present here today, a ride back to the apartment that I stayed at.
Is that the same apartment where she used to sleep over?
It's the same apartment that she's claiming.
That she slept over. I didn't say she
Yeah.
lived there.
Yes.
She
Yes, you're right.
slept over.
Correct.
So she picked the two of you up and drove you home.
Yes, Your Honor.
From another friend's house.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happened, Miss Burton?
Mr. Anderson has a past of stealing. I'm going to be honest
Listen
with
to
you.
me. Don't be honest with me. Just tell me what happened.
Okay, Mr. Anderson did, in fact, call me to pick him up. I would not go out of my way to pick him up from another female's home. Absolutely not. Never.
Listen to
I'm
me.
not a chauffeur, and that's not what
Listen
happened.
to me.
Okay.
You picked him up with his friend, and you drove him home.
He called me.
You picked him up with his friend, and you drove him home.
When we arrived at the home, I needed to use the bathroom. I asked Mr. Anderson if I can use his bathroom. I had a key to his home. I let myself in. Mr. Anderson and his friend was still in the car. My purse was in my car. I came back down to the car, and Mr. Anderson was telling Mr. Anderson goodbye. I checked my purse, because on a separate occasion, Mr. Anderson stole money from me.
Stop.
Okay. I checked my purse. Money was missing. I asked Mr. Anderson, I said, where's the money that is missing? He was drunk. It was just in the police report, and I have evidence to show you. And he punched me. I fell to the ground. I grabbed his leg to try to get up, and he grabbed my hair and pulled my hair out. He also grabbed a bottle from his house. We were in the house at this time. We were in the house fighting.
Well, just a second.
Okay.
Miss Burton, how did you get into the house?
I let myself in with a key.
Just a second. Hey, listen to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was banging on my door like the psycho from... I told her to get lost, kick rocks. She forced her way into the house. I grabbed her by her arm and tried to lead her out the house. She still wouldn't go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chelsea Burton says ex-boyfriend Andrew Anderson beat her up after she accused him of stealing her money. Andrew is countersuing, claiming Chelsea destroyed his necklace and laptop.
Miss Burton, you let yourself into the house with a key.
Yes, ma'am.
You used the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you came outside. That's what you just told me.
Correct.
You had left your purse in the car, which means that you had to sit down in the car, look in your purse. Now you say there was money missing. You asked him where.
At this...
Nope.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm just telling you what you just told me.
Okay.
You asked him where the money was. He said he didn't know where any money was, and he was drunk. You tell me you just found out he was drunk? You couldn't detect he was drunk when you picked him up at his friend's house?
Not drunk and belligerent, no, ma'am.
You mean he got drunk and belligerent from the time it took you to go to the bathroom?
When I asked him about the money, he got angry.
You got drunk and belligerent from the time you went to the bathroom to the time you came outside?
No, ma'am.
All right.
He had been drunk.
Okay. The next thing you told me was when you asked him about the money, he punched you. That's
Correct.
exactly what you said. And you fell to the ground. And then you tried to grab his legs.
Get up.
And then he pulled you by the hair. And then somehow, miraculously, you're transported inside the house. Because you say, then we're inside the house, and he took a bottle from the house.
No, ma'am, I did not tell you the locations.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell you the locations as I walked. I let myself in, I used the bathroom. I came back out, he was in the car with his friend. He came out of the car as I searched my purse. He was walking to his home. He was in his home. I went back to his...
Oh, you went for just a second.
I went back to his home to ask about my money.
Just a second. Well, that's not what you told me before.
Okay, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
Well, but that's not what you told me before.
Okay.
I know you keep saying okay. So you followed him back into his house.
I did not follow him, Your Honor. He was already there. He was already settled. I had searched my purse because I know his type of personality. So I knocked on the door. Mr. Anderson answered. I said, do you have my money? Because you've done this to me before. Do you have my money? Please give me my money back. He punched me. And that's it.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson. Now I'm going to hear you.
And I have pictures if you like.
I don't want to see your pictures. I don't believe that story.
Okay.
I don't believe that that's the way it happened. Do you understand?
Okay.
I don't believe that you knocked on the door and said to him, where is my money? And he punched you in the face.
He did.
That may have happened, that he punched you.
Okay.
That's not the way it happened.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so after she picked me and my friend up, we went back to the house. I opened the door. She went to go use my bathroom. She used the bathroom. She left and went back outside.
Who opened the door?
I opened the door.
With a key?
Yes, Your Honor.
She did not have a key.
She didn't have a key until... She had a key at one point because she knew where we left our key out because I had other roommates there. So if one of us had the key and we were getting ready to leave, we would leave it, you know, so that the other person would have a way into the house.
Mr. Anderson, did you ever make Miss Burton a key to your apartment?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever give her a key to your apartment?
No, Your Honor. She went behind my back and talked to my friend.
No. You can't tell me what she said to your friend. All I'm asking you, Mr. Anderson, is whether or not you gave Miss Burton a key to your apartment.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So you let her in. She used the bathroom. She went back outside. Did you say goodbye?
Yeah, I told her goodbye. Within 2 minutes, she was banging on my door like the psycho from...
Go ahead.
I went back to the door to see what her problem was, and she said, give me my $10. I said, what $10? She said, the $10 that I had in my trunk. I then said, from what point of me coming into the house, you using the bathroom and leaving, did I have time to go to a car that the doors were locked as well as the trunk with no key? I told her to get lost, kick rocks, and, you know, that was the end of it.
Stop playing with papers.
When I went to go shut the door, she forced her way into the house and broke my door off the hinges. I got pictures of that as well. After she forced her way into my house, I tried to handle her like a gentleman. I grabbed her by her arm and tried to lead her out the house. She still wouldn't go. I picked her up from behind. As you can see, she's not the smallest chick in the world. And she tried to throw all her weight down onto the floor, and this is when she broke my chain. I let her back up. She got up. She ran into the living room. That's when my witness came in, and she picked up a bottle, broke the laptop. As you can see right here.
Absolutely not true.
I've got a crack on the top.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
As you can see right here, I've got a crack on my laptop. The bottle actually went all the way through. And also cracked the front right here. And after she broke the laptop, she picked up a lamp and started...
Mr. Anderson, when the police arrived, which they did that day, did you report to the police that she had broken your computer?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Do you have that in a police report?
Not sure, Your Honor.
Do you have the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the entire police report, please.
Would you like me to submit medical bills and pictures at this time?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Miss Burton, you were the subject of a prior criminal trespass in his apartment building. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Yes, you were.
It says on police report, Mr. Anderson told the officer that.
Just a second. Oh, the officer said that Miss Burton
was in the call history at this location as being criminally trespassed from this location on July 5th. You remember that?
That's when I was living there. Or
you weren't living there.
I paid rent.
You didn't pay rent.
I did pay rent, ma'am.
Listen, I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Put your hand down. Let me tell you something else the officer says, which is why, you know, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. The officer said, I did not find either one of these subject statements to be correct. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. He says that a whole bunch of stuff was in disarray. I didn't see anything about a computer when you spoke to the officers. You have nothing about your computer, Mr. Anderson? That's a very expensive computer.
It is, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
And she's the one who broke it.
That's what you say.
At the end of the day, when you're dealing with somebody who...
It should be in the police report, Mr. Anderson.
Maybe the police were worried about the wrong thing. Instead of listening to what I was trying to tell them happened. When you got a female who's lying and comes out trying to put on a Mother Medea scene like she's all injured and hurt.
There is no question that she did not start to complain about her physical injuries to the extent that they required any sort of treatment until after the officer told her she was being arrested for trespass. According to the officer, when he told her she was being arrested for trespass, let me see what it says here. I advised Burton that she was under arrest for criminal trespass. At this point, Burton's injuries became more painful, and she advised me that she needed to be transported to a hospital to be checked. Prior to that, when the medical people arrived, Miss Burton had leg pain, she said, and 2 small scratches on her face. However, she refused treatment and refused to be transported. I'm speaking.
Sorry.
And refused to be transported to the medical unit and signed a refusal form to the medical unit.
Yes, Your Honor, I didn't have an insurance, and I told him that, and he said, you can still go, so he still took me.
No,
because
that's not what he says happened. You see why I have a problem with what you're doing? I know what happened.
Okay.
I know what happened.
All right.
That's what the policeman said happened. You refused medical treatment, didn't want medical treatment.
No, I told the police officer, that officer was, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, ma'am. We're living in the state of Georgia. They're just ready to lock up young black people when they get into issues. He really was drunk. He has an issue with alcoholism, period. And
then you had no...
I was trying to help him.
No. If he has a problem with alcoholism, then you stay away from him. And if he has a problem with being drunk, then you don't go back into his house if you think that there's $10 missing from your trunk. You leave, especially if you say that he's drunk. And it has nothing to do with the state of Georgia and police officers. The police officer offered you medical care. You declined it. When the officer checked him for warrants, it was nothing. But it came up positive that the police had been called to his apartment before saying, get her out of here, she's trespassing in my apartment. So the police said, we're going to arrest you. At that point, you said to the police, don't arrest me, I'm in pain, take me to the hospital.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what it says here. You want me to read it to you?
I explained to the police officer I do not have medical insurance.
No.
It is this much. It costs this much for my injuries, $4,400.
Listen to me.
I did not want to pay for this out of pocket, but I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, Miss Burton.
Honestly, I was in a lot of pain. I need you to understand that.
Just a second. How much time did it take you to get into a lot of pain? Now, you're having a conversation with the police officer, and you decline medical treatment.
Because of insurance purposes.
You think you're smarter than I am? All right. So you talked to the police officer, you said, whatever it is, I don't have medical insurance, I'm declining medical treatment. Then the officer says, we are arresting you for criminal trespass. And you say, I'm in a lot of pain, I want to go to the hospital. Now, between that period of time when you declined and said, I want to go to the hospital, took just about that much time. I want to know, is it within that time frame that your pain became either so acute or somehow miraculously you got insurance?
No, I did not receive insurance. Right. No, ma'am. But I was in the back of a police car with my hands tied behind my back. I was crying and screaming. My knees were buckled. I don't think you've ever been in a back police car, but it's very painful to be in that position. And it was getting worse as I was in that tight position.
Great.
And I told him I wanted to see the hospital in the beginning. I told him I wanted medical insurance in the beginning.
No, you didn't.
I told him that in the beginning, yes, ma'am.
Well,
it's in the police report, ma'am. I highlighted it.
You gave me the police report.
I highlighted where I told him at first I wanted med care. I did.
You mean if I were to come up with a form that is signed by you saying that you declined to be taken to a medical unit, are you telling me somebody forged it or did you sign it?
He gave me a paper.
Your case is dismissed, Ms. Burton. And so is yours, sir. You don't belong with each other.
I didn't
Stay away from
decline it.
Stay away from each other. Goodbye.
Versus Mora. Has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Everybody have seats.
Mr. Herzig, you were retained by Mr. and Mrs. Mora, according to your complaint,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be the DJ at their son's bar mitzvah.
Correct.
They gave you a $500 deposit,
Correct.
the balance due of $650. According to your complaint, you went to the bar mitzvah, you performed your service, the Moras gave you a check for $650,
Correct.
and then they stopped payment on the check.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your money.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Mora say that your services were not up to standard, that they feel as if they didn't get what they had contracted for, that you ruined their son's bar mitzvah. In addition to ruining their son's bar mitzvah, you slandered and defamed them by writing letters to the temple, by walking around with placards outside. I don't know what you said. And they're suing you for a refund of their $500 deposit, as well as another $4,500 for their aggravation.
Correct.
Okay. Where was the bar mitzvah?
Desert Shores Community Center, the same location that my young witness had his bar mitzvah.
Okay. And how many people did you have at the bar mitzvah?
Approximately 100.
When did you retain Mr. Herzig?
Approximately 2 months before,
Okay.
2 to 3 months before the event.
Do you have the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd
It
like
was
to see it,
actually December 16th, 2004.
And when was the bar mitzvah?
January 30th, 2005.
Okay. Would you show this to Mr. and Mrs. Moore and ask them whether they recognize signature on that and whose signature it was on the contract?
Yep, I have the same one in my...
Yes.
Okay, so that's the contract.
Yes.
Now, and you showed up.
Absolutely. Ready to do a job.
Showed up, and how many hours were you there?
I arrived at 4 o'clock p.m. Set up time from 4 o'clock to 5:30. At 5:30, start music.
And when did you finish?
9:30.
Between 5:30 and 9:30, did anyone approach you and indicate that they were dissatisfied with what was going on?
Ms. Moore came up and said, I'm unhappy the music being played right now. It was during the dinner time. And I said, no problem. We'll promptly change it, which we did.
So other than that one time that Mrs. Mora came up to you during the course of the evening, did either of them come up and say that there was anything wrong with what you were doing?
Later on at about 8:40, maybe 9 o'clock, Ms. Mora came up and asked, she had given me originally that evening 4 additional notes to perform and to say, as I remember, something about one of them being guest had graduated from college. But there were a couple, how about those announcements? And I said, we've already made the announcements. I didn't know if she was in the room.
Can I add to that?
I'm going to get to you in a second. Okay. When did you get your check for $650?
After we put the equipment back into the van, we sat down at the table with Ms. Moore, and we requested our check, and we started just kibitzing a little about the evening, and that was it.
She gave you the check?
Yes, ma'am. Wrote the check right then and there.
Did she say at that point anything to you about your service that evening?
Word zero, which meant...
Okay. Don't tell me what he's going to tell me.
Okay.
You say word zero.
Word zero.
Okay, who's going to speak?
I'd like to say.
Okay.
Okay. When I originally hired Alan to be my DJ, I had interviewed a few DJs. And one mentioned that he was going to have a disco ball for lighting, which, you know, I would like for my son to have something special. And he said, oh, that's outdated. I have sophisticating lighting. I have speakers with that blink, and I have, you know, and I was excited because I thought, wow, I'm going to have that. That was not at the party. That's what initially, after I watched the tape of the bar mitzvah, or it was even before then, I said to my husband, was there lighting? And there was no lighting. The montage that he made for me, that he was professionally supposed to do.
I don't know what, could you stop
a
hitting the
montage?
table?
I'm sorry.
At the table.
The montage of...
A video montage that he supplied a projection screen that he told me he was going to add magic to. I scanned all the pictures at home on my computer and handed him a disc. He just added music to it, and he told me he was going to spin the pictures and do his magic to my pictures. And I have a copy of that here that I'd like you to see. That within the first 4 pictures, there was a slag in between the pictures. As a professional, after making a tape of this sort, he should have viewed it before he showed it to my guests. There was a slag, and everybody thought the tape was over after the first 4 pictures.
The sound system was inadequate. We had music cues for people as they were to come out and be introduced that never went off. We didn't know he was going to have a 12-year-old child as his DJ, training him at our bar mitzvah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He said he would bring an assistant. We didn't know it would be a young child that he would be given on-the-job training during our affair.
He trained his son throughout the... I have it on tape also.
That was quite embarrassing for us, and our guests couldn't believe it. We had certain music that he left at home.
My father was an entertainer who had passed, and I wanted my family to hear my father's music while we're eating. I brought the tape. He didn't even bring it to the bar mitzvah. He had to call his wife to bring the tape to the bar mitzvah.
Did she bring it?
She brought it, but it was stressful for me.
Now you've told me the story.
Some of it.
Shh. Now you've told me the story, and now I'd like to know why you gave him a check for $650 at the end of the evening.
My husband wrote
First of all, he's not telling the truth. I'm the one that gave him the check, not my wife.
I don't care who gave me the check. You gave me the check.
He came over. He said, it's time to settle up. We still had guests around. I didn't want to cause a scene. It was a very big day, a lot of excitement. Took out my checkbook. I wrote him the check just to get it over with. And we went home and discussed it, and we got several complaints from guests. People called us. They emailed us. They told us the next day or two how awful things were.
I want to see those emails. Just a second. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Mora. I want to see the emails from your guests telling you how awful the bar mitzvah was.
I have.
Okay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
You have those letters?
Those are some letters, but I want her to read this.
I want to see a letter.
I'll give it to them.
I just want to see an email. Oh, this is terrible. This is not what I want.
Okay.
This is not what I want. And this is not what I want. And this is not what I want. Did you understand English? English is, I want to see emails that your guests sent to you the day after the bar mitzvah telling you how horrible the bar mitzvah was. These are letters.
Okay.
These are letters 6 months later that you solicited from people saying, I was present at the Mora bar mitzvah and would like to make some comments about what I observed.
Well, she just printed it out that day.
Listen to me, madam. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me one Bubba Mice, I find everything else that you say suspect. So that's a grandma story.
Oh, I know the Bubba Mice.
That's a Bubba Mice, a grandma story. It means it's an untruth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alan Herzig says former client Bonnie Moore owes for his DJ services. Bonnie claims Alan did a poor job. She is countersuing for defamation of character.
What I want to see is a guest at a bar mitzvah, because I've been to more bar mitzvahs in my day than you have, and I've made more.
Okay.
I have never had a guest that wrote me a letter or sent me an email telling me how horrible the function was because of the DJ. So when you said to me, I got emails the next day telling me how horrible the function was,
I didn't say
that's not true. That's not true.
Don't argue with it.
No guest at a Jewish bar mitzvah tells their host and hostess what a terrible time they had. Now, solicited, you can get letters from people telling you that they thought that the DJ was awful. Call a guest and say, I'm going to court, and I want you to tell me, or I'm having a discussion or a dispute with it. Put your hand down. You tell me one Bubba Misa. You know what that means?
Yes.
Good. You tell me one Bubba Misa, I find everything else that you say suspect. So that's a grandma story.
Oh, I know the Bubba Mice.
That's a Bubba Mice, a grandma story. It means it's an untruth. It means what grandmas tell when they tend to fabricate. So Nobody wrote you the next day or 2 days later or 3 days later what a terrible time they had at your son's bar mitzvah because of the music.
Your Honor, excuse me.
Don't speak to me yet.
Okay.
So the answer to the question is, you gave him a check the day of the bar mitzvah because you didn't want to create a scene at the bar mitzvah. And then you were talking amongst yourselves. Not because you got emails from anybody the next day, because that's a lie, or the day after that, and you decided to stop payment on the check, right?
Right.
Now, after you stopped payment on the check, Mr. Herzig called you.
Right.
When you called him, what did Mr. Mora tell you?
My wife was unhappy with your performance.
And?
And we are not paying you, and we don't want to hear from you again. We've dusted our hands of you.
Was that the end of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any subsequent conversation with him?
I tried to.
So what did you do, Mr. Herzig? Because that's the second part of their complaint for which they want $4,500.
I sent them eventually I sent them an email. I left messages.
I'm not talking about what you sent to them. They are complaining that you slandered them.
I sent them an email. That was the slander.
He wrote letters to all the religious leaders in the community with this case.
Yes, I do. Copies of the letters? And just a second. Do you have copies of the letters that he sent?
I have one copy with CC's underneath.
Fine. I'd like to see it.
This was registered to me. Okay. He also sent a letter to the owner of the Israelite, which is the Jewish paper here in Las Vegas. I have a letter also from...
He carried a picket sign in front of our school, religious school.
Just a second. Okay. Is this what you're talking about?
He sent that whole package.
Just a second.
Yes.
This says...
He sent that to Mike, the owner.
Okay. And it says, how about a headline like Bonnie and Paul Morris stiffed their MC DJ?
Yes.
Well, that's what you did.
Okay.
That's what you did.
Okay.
I don't think that he should be telling... You wrote him a check.
The newspaper that.
You listen to me. You wrote him a check, and then you stopped payment on the check. That means he got stiffed.
Disc jockey Alan Herzig claims client Bonnie Moore owes for services rendered. Bonnie is countersuing, claiming Alan slandered her.
Mr. Herzig says in this letter that he spent substantial time in your house helping you get the pictures scanned. Is that true?
He agreed that I told him I just bought the scanner. He agreed to come over and do that. But he just showed me how to do it. I already knew.
Listen to me. The answer is he came over to your house, which is not contained in this contract, to help you scan the pictures into a scanner. Not contained in here. He did it because he was being...
Yes, he was. Very nice to do that, although his price was outrageous to begin with anyway.
Mrs. Herzog, that's an untruth. He was charging you $1,150 to perform at your event, which included this montage of pictures. And if you're telling me that that's an outrageous price, you should have hired somebody else. I'm telling you it's not an outrageous price.
Okay.
Well, okay. And I'm still trying to find slander worth slander at all.
I don't think any of my business should be brought to the attention of my four rabbis he sent it to in the newspaper.
God, listen, what you think is one thing. He could have been a nice person and not sent it to anybody else. But he chose not to do that. That's not actionable.
Going to the school at checkout time with a poster that says I owe him money, and I have a letter here from the receptionist.
Listen to me.
Did you want to
He has a right. I'm not looking at a letter. He has a right to do that. You do owe him money. That's not libelous. That's something that's untrue. You do owe him money.
Okay. I believe he did a job. I think it was inferior.
Just a second. Then you don't use him again. Let us say that you go out for a meal, Mrs. Mora, with your husband and your family, and you go to a new restaurant, and you eat at the restaurant. You finish everything on your plate, and you get back in your car that evening, and you say, you know, they advertised this restaurant as having the best ribs in town. And the truth is, I don't like those ribs as well as I like the rib guy at the end of the street. So I paid by credit card, and I'm going to cancel my credit card, despite the fact that I ate the ribs, paid the bill, and I didn't like the way the waiter spoke to me, so I'm going to cancel that charge on my credit card. You think you'd get very far, Mrs. Mora? Zero. So if you don't like the restaurant, the next time you're going out for dinner, go someplace else. It's not as if Mr. Herzog didn't show up. It's not as if you got somebody else to play instead of him. You allowed him to start at 5:30, finish at 9:30. I am absolutely 100% positive that people clapped to the music, danced if they danced to the music.
They didn't.
Were on the dance floor. Maybe not everybody. Some people were on the dance floor during the course of the event. In any event, you used his services. You ate his ribs. When you stopped payment on his check, you had no right to do that. You stiffed him. You stole his money. And then you said, you don't like it? Sue me. Which is what he's doing. He wanted to embarrass you. I assume he embarrassed you. That's too bad. What he was saying is true. He's allowed to embarrass you. You have anything else you want to say?
Yes, how about he promised me the lighting system, the sound system was bad. I have on tape.
No, madam, I want you to take a look at your contract. And I want you to show me in your contract where it's in the contract.
No,
Listen to me. That's what you are bound by.
Okay.
The four corners of the contract. I want you to show me, Miss Mora, in the contract where it says that he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
Well, how about the sound system here?
Listen to me. I said, show me in the contract, in the four corners of the contract, where he says he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
That was my mistake, not having him write it, I guess.
You're absolutely right. What kind of business are you in, sir?
Hotel.
What kind of business in the hotel?
Casino.
What do you do in the casino?
I'm a department manager.
Okay. You know about contracts?
A little bit.
Good. Well, you have to explain that to your wife, sir. Anything that's within the four corners of the contract, or what courts consider if you sue him. If you said to me he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, and I find that he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, that means he gets docked. The fact that you didn't like the ribs is, as we say in French, that. Next time, do you have another bar mitzvah that you're planning? Don't use Mr. Herzog. He doesn't want you to use him. They owe you $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff and your counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
What is your excuse? You may step out. Of Bonilla versus Akkad.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
How old are you, Mr. Bonilla?
I'm 19 years old, ma'am.
And where do you live?
I live in Pomona, California.
What do you do?
I work at a pizza place and I go to school. I deliver pizza. The reason I'm going to school right now and working is because I had a scholarship for football, but I got hurt, so I'm trying to get back into it.
On what night did you have this altercation that resulted in your being allegedly assaulted by the defendant?
It was January 29th.
Of 2011?
2011, yes, ma'am.
Were you drinking? Is not an answer.
It was a 21st birthday party. I took about a sip.
Listen to me. Were you drinking?
Yes.
See how easy that was?
Yes.
At what time had you started drinking?
I got there late. I got there at 11.
Listen to me. I want you to understand that I raised now 5 children past their 19th birthday, and I'm involved with one grandchild who is past his 19th birthday. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So on Saturday night, the 29th of January, what time did you and your buddies start to drink?
11:30.
Where?
It was at the birthday party.
Whose birthday party?
It was Marcus' 21st birthday party.
What were you drinking?
I drank a beer. Less than a beer. I had work that night, so.
And then what happened?
Then I was with my girlfriend, hanging out with my girlfriend. She told me that there was chaos outside. I run around.
She told you that what?
That there was something going on outside with my friends. I run outside. Clearly my friends are outnumbered. Clearly outnumbered, like the whole party was.
How many people did you arrive with?
I went with my girlfriend.
So just the two of you went?
Yes. And I met with my friends there.
How many of your friends were there?
4. 4 of my friends.
And how old were your friends?
They are a year older than me. Some my age.
19 and 20?
Yes, ma'am.
All underage?
Yes, ma'am.
Drinking? Were they at the party first?
Yes.
So they were there before you got there?
Yes, they were.
The girlfriend? Mm-hmm. Up and over. Your name is?
Michelle Alcantara.
Michelle, you saw something going on outside at the party?
I overheard his friend Alex going outside, and they were getting into an argument, and they said they were going to take it outside.
You overheard his friend Alex getting into an argument with whom?
I have no idea who the guy was.
Somebody who?
His friends.
He was getting an argument with me.
So one of your friends was getting into an argument with you?
Correct.
And who are you?
I'm Jason Bourdonnais, the owner of the house.
Jason, you own the house, and why was his friend getting into an argument with you?
His friend punched one of my friends in the face, so I asked him to leave. I escorted him. It happened in the backyard. So I escorted him out to the front yard, asking them to leave.
When you say escorted him, you grabbed him?
No, he was walking with another friend of his, and I walked him out through the side of the back door into the front yard, and right then and there, they said they were going to leave.
You mean the two guys together?
Yeah, and a couple scattered their other friends. This was even before 11 o'clock, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What time was it?
Probably like 10:45, going on to 11.
Okay. So you had asked a couple of his friends to leave.
Correct.
And you overheard something.
It was not like that.
Tell me what you heard.
It was way more chaotic than that.
When you say it was way more chaotic, tell me.
Not, I escorted him to leave. No. They were being verbally abusive. We're going to fight.
Can I say something as well?
No. I have the owner of the house telling me that he's kicking out of a party 2 guys. Mm-hmm. That's what I got so far. And there's no quarrel with the fact that he was the proprietor, either the renter or the owner of the house. Is that right?
Right.
So he has a right to tell anybody to leave that he wants to. So he was telling your 2 friends to leave.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I don't care how he was saying it. I assume that he was not saying it nicely because I assumed that there was a problem.
He just walked them out.
So you went inside, found him, and told him that there was trouble outside?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do, Mr. Bonilla?
I went outside to go take a look at it.
And what did you find when you went outside?
Someone I had never seen before. It wasn't him. Someone I never seen before. He was verbally, coming at me, disrespecting me, and he could.
No, tell me. It's important that even though it's hearsay, it creates the moment. This person that you don't know and that's not here said what to you?
Do you want me to say the exact words?
Yes.
Yes. He said, "You get out of here. Take all your friends and leave."
Okay. So somebody else was telling you.
Yes.
And your friends to leave.
Exactly. And that is what I did.
Just a second. Somebody was telling you and your friends to leave.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then he continued to walk towards me. And this was on the street already. It was not in his property. This was on the street. He continued to walk towards me.
This person who you don't know?
That I don't know. He continued to walk towards me. I tried to back up. I wasn't really trying to fight. And then he got closer to me, so he swung, and I protected myself. That's when I saw...
When you say protected yourself, he swung. He swung. How did you protect yourself?
I hit him.
You hit him?
Yes, ma'am.
So he swung and missed.
Yeah, he missed.
And you hit him?
Yes.
What happened?
1 second.
What happened next, Mr. Bonilla?
On the corner of my right eye, I clearly see Amir sprinting, and I clearly saw him hit me with a bottle on the right side of my head. I have pictures here. I have the medical bills, whatever you want to see.
I don't want to see anything yet.
Okay.
So you punched this person.
Yes.
Where did you punch him?
In the face.
And what happened when you punched him?
She fell back.
Did he fall onto the ground?
Yes.
And so you punched him in the face.
Yes.
He fell to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
This person who was telling everybody to leave.
He told me specifically.
He told you specifically to leave. And then after you punched this person to the ground, and you don't know who that person was, whether he owned the house or whether he didn't own the house.
He didn't live there. I know that.
He didn't live there.
No.
Then you saw this man come up to you out of the corner of your eye.
Yes.
And hit you with a bottle.
Yes.
And that's why you're here.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's not what happened.
Ball is in your court.
All right. On January 29th,
during the birthday party, there was a fight in the backyard with his friend and one of my friends. I witnessed Jason over here, the owner of the house, walked them out through the side of the house, and I saw everybody just following them because...
You mean everybody?
Like everybody in the backyard that was around where the initial fight happened.
There was a fist fight.
Yeah, his friend punched one of my friends. That's the whole reason he tried to kick him out.
Yeah.
And he tried to kick him and all his friends out, everybody that was causing problems. As soon as they got to the street, his friend took his shirt off and turned around and tried to fight my friend Jason right here. And when that happened, my friend that I was walking out with ran out to the middle of the street, and first thing, as soon as he stepped onto the street, the plaintiff over here hit him a couple times, got on top of him when he was on his back and was punching him. That's where I ran up and I punched him. I did not use a bottle.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can I show you a picture, man, please? You can tell me that a fist can do this? I'll show you the picture.
I saw him hit him with a bottle.
What were you doing out in the street?
Watching my boyfriend, of course.
Sit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Bonilla says fellow partygoer Amir Akkad hit him over the head with a bottle. Amir claims he punched Jason when he saw him fighting his friend.
Go ahead.
I punched him. The plaintiff stood up, tackled me into a garage door. We were in the corner of the garage door. We were exchanging blows till we got separated, and that's where the fight ended for me. The cops came right after, and I went home. I have no idea what happened with him after that.
But his friends initiated the fight because it all started by the time when I walked out the street with his friends, hit me over the head with the bottle and sliced me across the face with the bottle.
Yeah,
that's when the fight broke out. And by that time, it was already like 14-on-1.
Throughout the whole time,
he had more than friends than what he said.
Left and right. There was multiple bottles being thrown up in the air. He got hit twice with bottles.
Mr. Bonilla.
Yes.
How old was Marcus?
Marcus, it was his 21st birthday. Can I say my side of the story now? Because that's completely false.
You just told me your side of the story. You told me that you were walking outside, somebody followed you, somebody that you didn't know, came up to you. Let me repeat what you told me.
Yeah, I understand what
Just a second. You understand what you told me. I let you tell your side of the story, then I would let them tell their side of the story. So now I have to decide who I believe.
Can I show you a picture, man, please? You can tell me that a fist can do this? I'll show you the picture.
I saw him hit him with a bottle. I did.
What were you doing out in the street?
Watching my boyfriend, of course.
Sit. No, stand. As a matter of fact, I have another couple of questions for you. Take your hands out of your pockets. Where was your boyfriend when you went inside and told him that there was trouble outside?
We were in the backyard.
What was he doing when you went over to tell him that there was trouble outside?
Just hanging out there.
He was just there doing nothing.
He was there when the first fight happened.
Just a second.
This was
just a second. Just a second. So let me understand. There's chaos going on outside.
Yes.
You came with your boyfriend.
Yes.
Why would you want to get him involved in what's going on out front?
Those are his friends, and we were going to tell them to leave.
Now
let's leave.
Your Honor, his defendant that you see right there clearly told my mom and my sister that it was his friend that hit me with the bottle.
Just a second.
That's a lie.
Just one second.
So how do I find out where you live? How do I find out where you live?
Obviously, because you're at my house at the party, you just showed
Mr.
up.
Bonilla.
Come on, man.
Mr. Bonilla.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me carefully, sir. What he says was that you just didn't punch this guy once and he fell back.
I didn't hit him on the ground. I'm clear about that. I did not hit him on the ground. I did not get on top of him and start pounding him.
How many times did you punch him?
I hit him about twice and he fell.
Oh, well, just a second. First it was, just a second. First, you punched him once and he fell back. Now, maybe you punched him twice and he fell back. Which one? Which one is it, Mr. Bonilla, once or twice?
Twice. I'm going to go with the larger amount.
Then why did you tell me 5 minutes ago that you hit him once?
I didn't know you clearly wanted me to tell you I punched him twice.
What does it have to do with what I want you to tell me? What I want you to tell me is the truth, not when you get crossed. Now I'm going to take a look at your pictures.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't look like a fist to me.
Thank you.
Now, I'll see a hospital record.
Okay. There's that, and there's the bill that it came out to.
Had you ever seen the defendant before?
Yeah, we all went to school together.
Did you ever have a problem with him before?
He went to a little gathering at my girlfriend's house, and he disrespected my girlfriend, started calling her names, so we kicked him out. About a year ago. Yes, him.
Him?
Yeah.
I told her to calm down, and she was drunk and started yelling at me. That's when him and his friends came and surrounded me, asked me to leave. Her father, who was my football coach, came out and told me to leave, and I just walked away, just like that.
But did you not say it's her house? She has the right to tell him to leave, right?
I was leaving.
One.
I was leaving till you told me out.
Thank you. What's the name of your friend, sir, who he assaulted?
Brenton.
Do you know Brenton, Mr. Bonilla?
No, ma'am.
Had you ever seen him before?
Other than when he bumped into my friend randomly for no reason, no.
What do you mean he bumped into your friend randomly for no reason? When was that?
In the backyard. The reason for the whole fight?
Oh, you see, things are becoming crisp for me now, Mr. Bonilla. So this person that you punched to the ground had an altercation with a friend of yours that you witnessed in the backyard.
Yeah, it was him and some other guy.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how many people were at the party?
There was a lot.
A lot.
Probably like 100, 150.
So of all those people, the person that, what did he do, bumped into?
It wasn't him. He was with the guy that bumped my friend. He bumped my friend for no reason. I was
Bumped your friend for no reason?
His friend sucker punched my friend.
That was before.
Now sit. You see, what I'm trying to get at, Mr. Bonilla, is sometimes when there's a fight, somebody gets the worst of the bargain. This time, apparently, it was you. Or maybe it was Brenton who you pummeled to the ground. And there had been an altercation that you witnessed before, so there was a reason for you to assault him. There was a reason. And then you got the worst of the bargain by him, who you had had trouble with in the past. But I'm not sure who the troublemaker is. You see, I'm just not positive,
Your Honor,
Mr.
please.
Bonilla. I'm not positive who the troublemaker is, because it's clear to me that you assaulted one of his friends and that you were injured during the course of that assault. There's no question about that. I don't believe your girlfriend, by the way. I don't believe your girlfriend that she witnessed you getting hit by a bottle. He may have hit you with a bottle. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else did. Now, did the police conduct an investigation?
Yes, they made a report in the hospital.
Just a second. The police conducted an investigation.
Yes.
Did they arrest the defendant?
No. The reason for that is because I didn't say his name, because I didn't want this to get bigger. I understand his friends would probably retaliate against me if I did say his name. I tried to solve it in a helping manner.
Just a second. So that my question is, when the police asked you who injured you, you either had to say, I don't know, or I didn't see, or I don't want to say. Those are the three things. You want to tell me what you told the police?
Yes. They asked me, do you want to talk about this? I said, I don't want to say anything.
No, that's not what police say. You want to talk about this. You say, I don't want to say anything. If the police took a report, they took a report of an assault, and they say, who was your assailant? And you either told them, I don't know his name, I didn't see who did it. Which one was it?
I don't know his name.
You don't know his name?
Yeah.
What?
The plaintiff's mom and sister came to my house threatening me, saying that they will call the police if I don't pay the medical bills. They told me they didn't call the police, and they were trying to extort me by saying that if I didn't pay them, then they were going to go to the police.
Who paid Brenton's medical bills, Mr. Bonilla?
Did he have medical bills?
I don't know. I don't know. Do you know? Punched him a couple of times. He fell backwards, according to you, on concrete.
That was self-defense. He was coming
Just a
at
second.
me.
No, wasn't self-defense. Your girlfriend came inside to get you. Wasn't self-defense at all. You had seen him with his buddy, allegedly bumping one of your friends in the backyard for no reason. And there were 100 people at this party, Mr. Bonilla. Somebody got the worst of the deal. Maybe it was Brenton. I don't know. But certainly Brenton isn't here being a crybaby. Just you. You don't like the heat? Stay out of the kitchen.
Your Honor, it's just...
You don't like the heat? Stay out of the kitchen. And if you were doing nothing in the backyard and your girlfriend came in the back and said, you better come outside, there's trouble, somebody who doesn't want to get into trouble says, you know what? If there's trouble going on in the front, I don't want to be there. You and I stay back here. Here there's no trouble. If there's trouble in the front, I don't want to be there. But that's not what you did, if I believe her, which I don't. Which I don't.
Your Honor, I have had headaches since that day. I've
All right,
had
listen,
past...
that's your problem. Stay out of the kitchen, Mr. Bonilla.
So that makes it right to hit people with bottles?
Just a second. If you are assaulting his friend, and I absolutely believe that you are assaulting his friend, he has the right to get you off.
There's a difference between getting off and hitting someone with a bottle.
I use a bottle.
I got hit in the head with a bottle and slashed in the face.
Sometimes when you get into a brawl, you get the worst of the bargain. This time you did. You don't like the heat? Stay out of the kitchen. I have a feeling that you were not an innocent bystander in all of this, Mr. Bonilla. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yes.
I am wrong that you were an innocent bystander.
Yes, I truly think I was.
You think you were an innocent bystander?
Yes.
You went from the backyard to the front of the house. You assaulted someone, knocked them to the ground, hitting them at least twice, and you're telling me you're an innocent bystander?
So what if it was...
Goodbye, Mr. Bonilla.
Parties are excused. Ms. Peterson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
All right, Mr. Ari, the defendant is the now ex-boyfriend of your now current girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that when he found out that you were involved with his then girlfriend, he vandalized your car. Mr. Peterson says, I didn't do it.
Right.
When did he vandalize your car, sir?
March 23rd, but it happened, I didn't find out. It happened until the 24th, the following morning.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding him vandalizing your car.
That day we got home from work.
Who's we?
Me and Jennifer. I went to her apartment. It was probably around 11 to 12 that night. When he came, I was inside with her sister watching television. I heard them arguing. The door comes swinging open. I see her flying to the side, and he comes rushing in. And at the time, I'm lying on the ground watching television. They just moved into the apartment, and he runs up with his hands balled in the fist, facial mannerism just like, very aggressive, and I can tell he wanted, to fight or something like that. So I stood up.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, I never saw him in my life.
So you
never
stood
met
up?
the guy. So, yeah.
And when you stood up, what happened?
Oh, when I stood up, his whole mannerism changed real quick. I was like, what's the problem, And at this time, I started taking off my watch, and he looks at me, he's like, oh, I just want to ask you a question. So we walk outside.
What were you taking your watch off for?
Well, I want to know what time it was, man, So,
why were you taking your watch off?
Well, it was a nice watch, and I just didn't want to mess it up. So,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he follows me outside, and he asked me, what's the deal between you and Jennifer? And I asked him, I was like, well, do you know who I am? He was like, no. And I was like, well, I don't know you either, and is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he kind of paused and hesitated. I was like, is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he was like, well, I was like, well, dude, I don't know you don't know me, you have to ask her. And I left him out there, and I went back inside.
Had Jennifer told you she had a boyfriend?
She told me that she broke up with him around December, January, that he was assaultive, would hit her and stuff like that. She just got tired of it.
So she told you at the time she invited you over that she didn't have a boyfriend?
Yes. We'd known each other for probably 2 or 3 weeks before I ever been asked to come over to her house. It had been like a month before I even came over there. I started working where we work at in January.
Now tell me about the vandalism to your car.
Okay, well, after I left him outside, he did come back in again. He came back in and told her that he wanted to grab his stuff. And she was like, well, you don't have anything here, but whatever, take whatever you want and leave. After he went upstairs, taking whatever, he was up there for a while. When she went back up there, they started arguing again. I got tired of it, and I got up and I was like, look, is there a problem? And that's when he left. He finally left. And then Jennifer and her sister watched him through the window.
Don't tell me what they saw.
I'm sorry, man.
Jennifer, what did you see?
After he went outside, my sister and I were looking out the window. At that point, I seen him walk around the car, and it looked like he was just dragging his finger along the sides of the car. And he just walked around the whole vehicle, and then I seen him just walk away and get in his truck and leave.
Did you tell Mr. Ari what you had seen?
No, I didn't tell Sean at that time because I didn't want them to fight any longer. And my little sister was there, and I didn't want her exposed to this. And I knew how upset Sean was about the whole thing, and how much more he would be upset if he knew that Billy was anywhere around his car.
Well, when did he find the damage to his car?
That following morning, ma'am.
Did you stay over that night?
Yeah, she asked me to, because she said she was scared. So.
And when you went out in the morning, what did you find?
A nice little decoration around my car.
Can I see it, please? You have
Yes,
pictures.
ma'am.
Let's see. Did you speak to him about it?
Right after we called the cops and Sean and the cops left, I received a phone call from a private number on my cell phone, and it was Billy, and he was asking me, how's your friend's car? How's your friend's car? And saying, like, if I was to say anything, it's going to happen to my car, and that I was his and I would always be his and no one else's. I hung up, and he continued to call me back on private numbers, and I went ahead and called the cops.
Okay, I'll hear you.
On March 23rd, I went over to see Jennifer Gifford, who is now my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at the time. We talked about our relationship for the simple fact that I had just helped her move into this home. It was actually supposed to be me moving into the home, but it didn't turn out that way as her sister moved in. At that time, we were just discussing our relationship. She asked me what was going on. I asked her if everything was okay between us. Basically, I was expressing, like my love for her. She seemed pretty apprehensive to really speak to me at that point. She seemed just not her usual self. I dated her for about three and a half years.
You knew before that things were not right, Mr. Peterson, because you were supposed to, according to you, move into this apartment together. She had been in this apartment for a month, and you weren't living with her. So you knew something wasn't right a month ago.
Well, I have a child.
How old is the child?
3 years old, and that was a complication at hand.
So you knew that things weren't right between the two of you for at least a month.
She actually lived with me in my home, and things were good. We didn't have any complications.
When she moved into her own place, and you weren't living with her, you knew that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you go over there for at such a late hour?
She received a diamond ring from me. March, when I went over the 23rd.
When did she receive a diamond ring from you?
Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. When I went over there the 23rd of March, discussing issues in regards to our relationship, this gentleman here, the plaintiff, exited the doorway asking me who I was at that time. Now we got myself, this gentleman, and her outside in a very awkward situation. I asked her who was he. She didn't respond. He asked me who I was, and I told him.
What did you tell him?
I said, I'm her boyfriend. Who are you?
Why you went over there so late, sir?
Well, because usually I stay the night there, and I had stayed the night there like several days prior to this circumstance.
Did you take the engagement ring?
Yes.
Get to what happened when you left.
She actually, during the time that we spoke outside, all three of us, me and him didn't come to any terms of agreement whatsoever. We didn't even discuss anything. I asked her if this was the way it's going to be, if I can get my belongings. She allowed me to enter the house. I went and got all my belongings. I had shoes, pajamas, had the ring. I walked downstairs holding all my belongings. And this gentleman was waiting there by the door. And when I walked by him with my stuff, he basically, quote unquote, said, the next time we meet, he ain't going to be nice. Closing the door at that time, slamming it, saying, it was an indicator like, you're not welcome here. So at that point, I got in my vehicle. I left home. I heard from Mrs. Gifford the next morning. She contacted me. She said, Sean is accusing you of messing up his car. I said, I didn't do anything like that, okay? And you should know me better than that. We were together 3 years. I never did anything like that. So basically, that's how it went. And
who do you think keyed his car?
I don't know. It's a new neighborhood, so I really wasn't sure. Like I said, I'd made sure that, when I moved her in.
Who are you?
Excuse me, I'm Billy's mother. My name is Anna Peterson.
You know anything about this case?
I know some. Jennifer Gifford called me that next day, and she said, I think Billy keyed my friend's car. And I says, why didn't you call us and say, Billy's over here, there's a problem? She had no response. I replied, you know us for 3 years. You know we don't condone any kind of negative behavior. She proceeded to cry and say it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I said, no, Jennifer, you've been in my family for 3.5 years. I've come to love you, and it isn't supposed to be like this. Okay? So prior to that, the day before, she had come to my home with my grandchild. Now, if they're not a couple, what is she doing with my grandbaby? She's come to my home the day prior to this happening, this incident. She has my granddaughter. I sit down and we have a heart-to-heart talk. I said, Jennifer, how are things with you and Billy? She says, we are working things out. I said, are you dating a certain individual? Not this gentleman. She replied, no. So at that point, I didn't feel there was a problem at all because they had still been seeing each other. She had been with us in March.
Jennifer, I have a question for you, dear.
Yes.
You didn't tell this gentleman, uncross your hands. You didn't tell Mr. Ari
Yes, ma'am.
about what happened. that night. He stayed all night.
Correct.
Correct? Now, private number called,
Yes.
and you say you spoke to Mr. Peterson.
Correct.
And then he kept calling.
Mm-hmm.
And you kept taking the phone calls, or did you let it go to voicemail?
I took a couple and then I stopped. I called the cops. They came and took a report and went and spoke to him and told him he needed to stop calling me and that if he came back to my house, he would be arrested for trespassing.
Did the police tell you to stop calling her?
Yes. They contacted me through the telephone, and they said that Mrs. Gifford has stated that you and her are not going to be in a relationship anymore, so please do not have any more contact or show up at her home. I said, yes, sir, but not a problem.
What would make her call the police, Mr. Peterson?
I believe it lays down a foundation in which there's no pertinent evidence in which can be held against me in this predicament. I mean, given the circumstance at hand, I've been accused of vandalizing a car, and she asked me the next morning if I was okay.
Listen to me, Mr. Peterson. There are only two people that could have vandalized that car. One was you, and one was Jennifer. Now, if Jennifer had a sick pathology, she could have said, listen, when he's sleeping, I'm going to go out, I'm going to vandalize his car, I'm going to key his car, and then I'm going to be able to get rid of Mr. Peterson once and for all because he's going to stay away from me. She would have to be pretty nutty to do that. But those are the only two people, in my judgment, who are going to do it. Her sister wasn't going to do it. Her sister doesn't care whether she's seeing you, whether she's seeing him. She doesn't care. I just don't see her doing that, Mr. Peterson.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was marks and to stay away from the motorcycle.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean Ari says his girlfriend's ex, Billy Peterson, vandalized his car by keying it. Billy admits he was angry, but claims he didn't do it.
You certainly had the opportunity to key his car. And after what you discovered that evening when you arrived at her house, there's no question you had the inclination to key his car. You weren't going to fight him because after he stood up, you figured you weren't going to get the best of this deal.
Probably not.
Probably not. So what's the next best thing to a young man's heart is his car. What kind of an estimate did you get to fix your car, sir?
The cheapest one was to cover up just the scratch without painting it, the whole car.
So, Mr. Peterson, in civil cases, courts have to decide, not beyond a reasonable doubt, that would be a criminal case as to whether you were guilty of vandalism, but whether there is more evidence than not, by a preponderance of the evidence, more evidence than not, as to whether or not I believe you keyed his car. Mr. Peterson, I believe you keyed his car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,200. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When you date someone for a while, they may end up cheating on you. It's basically what happened to me, and they kind of got together and orchestrated the plan.
We didn't start dating until just recently, so, and that happened in March.
He was threatening me and making it a jokingly manner of how my friend's car was.
She got caught, and now she don't know what to do about it.
Where I'm from, we don't scratch guys' cars, so, and me and him aren't from the same town.
I'm just glad it's done and over with and we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Like I said, it just goes to show, be careful who you date.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason versus Fleck. Step forward.
21-year-old Mark Mason is suing his mother's friend, Michael Fleck, for damage to a motorcycle and snowboard. Mark says Michael's children are the culprits.
Is this your mother?
Yes, it is.
Just step up, please. How old are you, Mr. Mason?
I'm 21.
Where do you live?
I live at my dad's and my mom's house, kind of between the both of them.
When did this incident happen with your motorcycle and snowboard?
February of this winter.
And where were you living in February?
On the weekends, I was staying at my mom's house, and during the week at my dad's because it's closer to school.
Father have a house?
Yes, he does.
But you stored a motorcycle and a surfboard in the basement at your mother's house.
It was a motorcycle and a snowboard.
Snowboard.
Yep.
Now, Miss Mason, how do you know Mr. Fleck?
We dated a few years ago.
And he came to visit you in February?
Correct.
With his 3 children?
Yes.
What was the weather like the day he came to visit?
It was winter, so in Minnesota and Wisconsin, snowy and cold.
So the children were playing indoors?
Correct.
When did they ask you if they could go down to play in the basement?
I had shown them a tour of the home, and they saw Mark has a foosball table down there, and they had seen the foosball table and wanted to go down and play with the foosball table.
So what did you say?
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was Mark's and to stay away from the motorcycle.
And you told that to 3 little children?
Correct.
And then you were upstairs entertaining Mr. Fleck?
We had ordered pizza, so we were waiting for the pizza to get delivered.
Okay. This is your lawsuit, Mr. Mason.
Yep.
The lawsuit wants Mr. Fleck to pay for damage allegedly done by his 3 children when they were playing with a box downstairs in the basement, playing in a big old box. And they bumped up against either your snowboard or your bicycle and caused damage to your bicycle.
That's correct.
Right? He's not going to pay for that.
Whose responsibility would it be?
Your mother's.
Why is that?
You were storing items in your mother's house. She had the opportunity to say to Mr. Fleck's children, do not go down to the basement. They would not have gone down to the basement without her permission. If they hadn't been down there playing, then the property would not have been damaged. And your mother had total control over that.
Even though it was an accident on their behalf, it's not their responsibility?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, I would like to say that at first, Mr. Fleck agreed to pay for the damages upon getting an estimate, and he even listed me as a debt on claiming bankruptcy.
Did you declare bankruptcy, sir?
I'm in the process now, ma'am, yes.
How much did Mr. Mason tell you that the damage was to his property?
The first figure I received was $250.
When did you receive that figure?
Say 2 weeks after this incident occurred.
Did you tell him that you would pay the $250?
No, ma'am. I said I would talk to my children.
Then why did you list him as a creditor?
I was told to do so by my attorneys.
You mean any possible person that you might owe money to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you originally tell Mr. Fleck, Mr. Mason, that the damage was $250?
Yeah, I called around to get
The
estimates.
answer is either yes or no.
Yes,
Then why are you suing him for $877.46?
because once I went to the dealer and got the estimates, that's what they came back as. That was my estimate at first. Me, not the dealer.
Did you tell that to Mr. Fleck?
I did. That was just some online researching that I did.
I don't think he owes you anything. And he says he didn't agree to pay you. He said he just listed you in his bankruptcy because in the event that you got a judgment against him, he wanted to be covered. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
Were you playing in a big cardboard box?
I was.
That's what happens when kids play.
So they're not responsible for their damages?
Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs, sir. Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs. And if what happened down there was an accident, should have been covered by your homeowner's insurance if you had it. Do you have homeowner's insurance?
No, ma'am.
Should have. Or else your mother's going to fix it. She should not have let Mr. Fleck's children go downstairs if your property was downstairs and she knew it was valuable. You got it?
Trên tay mình đang cầm đây là dòng nước hoa hồng được chiết xuất từ lá tía tô shisho. Thì đối với lá tía tô đã rất là nổi tiếng trong cái công dụng tuyệt vời của lá tía tô mang lại cho làn da của chúng ta. Nó vừa kháng viêm, làm đẹp và lá tía tô có cái công dụng là dưỡng trắng, kháng viêm cực kỳ là tốt. Thì đối với dòng nước dưỡng da chiết xuất từ lá tía tô shisho có cái công dụng nước dưỡng da chứa cái chiết xuất từ lá tía tô giúp tăng cường cái độ ẩm và loại bỏ các cái bã nhờn, bụi bẩn và dưỡng da cho chúng ta được đều màu, sáng và mịn da hơn. Và đặc biệt có một điểm cộng cho dòng sản phẩm nước dưỡng da chiết xuất từ lá tía tô shisho, đó là kết cấu lỏng và nó rất là nhanh thẩm thấu vào da, đặc biệt là không để lại cái tình trạng gây bết rít, bí da khi mà chúng ta sử dụng, phù hợp cho mọi loài da, đặc biệt là những làn da mụn, những làn da nhạy cảm, và nó có cái khả năng là cấp ẩm rất là tốt Và theo đánh giá của các chuyên gia da liễu thì đối với nước dưỡng da chiết xuất từ lá tía tô shiso chứa một cái lượng lớn các cái loại vitamin như là vitamin A, vitamin B và vitamin C, một trong những các cái loại vitamin cực kỳ là tốt cho làn da của chúng ta. Và cái cách dùng thì chúng ta sẽ lấy một cái lượng vừa đủ nước dưỡng, chúng ta thoa đều khắp mặt, lên vùng hai má, trán và cằm. Như vậy là chúng ta đã có một cái làn da khi mà chúng ta sử dụng thì sẽ có một cái cảm giác là dịu nhẹ khi mà lần đầu tiên chúng ta sử dụng. Một trong những dòng nước hoa hồng được chiết xuất từ lá tía tô cực kỳ là an toàn và lành tính.